It's going to be about speed, precision, and most importantly, momentum. Today is the final day of Blitz in Kolkata. This is the Tata Steel Chess India. And Robert, it promises to be an exciting fight for the top.
It will definitely be an exciting fight because it's a three-player race at this stage. We know who's in first. He's a legend in Indian chess despite the fact that he's just a teenager, and there are two competitors who are closely chasing him.
It's a good time to be Praggnanandhaa right now. He is leading in the Blitz after a spectacular performance in day one. He started with 5 back-to-back victories, and these are our standings going into the final 9 rounds of Blitz. But with 9 rounds to play, Robert, it's going to be about who's able to get that streak of wins going. And if we see the middle of the leaderboard, if they get some points in, I think we could see a lot of shuffling up and a completely different standings in the middle of the tournament.
And Praggnanandhaa himself acknowledged that when we interviewed him after yesterday's event. He was saying that I have a lead right now, but even players 2.5 points behind, they can catch up if they get on that hot streak you're talking about. So someone like Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who said 0 out of 3, then finished with 4 wins in 7 games, or 4 points, I should say, out of 7 games. He has a shot if he can get that hot streak like he had in Rapid.
Vidit and Gukesh were the only 2 players who managed to take down Pragg yesterday, and it was Alexander Grischuk, who is in 3rd place, who actually stopped that hot streak with a draw in round 6. But Pragg, half a point ahead of Vidit, Alexander, Arjun, Gukesh at 4.5. They need to get going on that hot streak as quick as possible. Robert, it's going to be about who scores big in the first couple of rounds today.
Yeah, you want to get the lead and secure it because that puts pressure on the other competitors. If you're in first place and someone trails you by a point, suddenly that other person has to win every single game, and then they're not just playing chess, they're playing for results. They lose their objectivity. So I think for Praggnanandhaa, he's going to remain cool. I had dinner with him and Arjun and Vincent last night. It was a lot of fun. They were all in good spirits. But for Pragg, it probably means a lot to him to win on Indian soil, and right now he has that half-point lead. He does not want to spoil his chance.
He wants to keep it going, and he has also had a good performance in the Rapid, finishing 3rd, so definitely feeling that momentum there. And in moments from now, we will have the players on the stage. Let's bring up our live camera feed. I was walking in, and the games are yet to begin a good 45 minutes before our broadcast, and look at the amount of people who are already into our National Library playing hall.
And they're still trickling in. You could see people walking to seats. The energy, it's buzzing here in Kolkata as it's the final day of this Blitz event. Praggnanandhaa, we can't say it enough. He's a legend. At that dinner yesterday, there were 20 people or so who just said, hey, can I take a photo with you? He was whisked away, and then we didn't get him back for several minutes. So for Pragg, they have many fans in attendance who want to see him win, but the other players, they do not. Vidit Gujarati, Alexander Grischuk, they're right there, right neck and neck with Pragg. And if they have a great day today and Pragg, he stumbles a bit, we could see a new leader when all is said and done.
It's also really amazing to see with how much maturity Pragg handles this attention that he's been receiving. And he's got to forget all of that, focus on the board today, leave that behind for later, because it is fast and furious chess. And you mentioned Vidit Gujarati, Alexander Grischuk, half a point behind Praggnanandhaa. For Vidit, he has played every single edition of the Tata Steel. He's come close but yet to win an event. He knows that this could be that moment. He has taken down Pragg today. Manages to do that yesterday. Manages to do that today again. Could be well on his way for his first Tata Steel victory.
And we heard from him when we had him here in the studio for an interview. He said his loss to Maxime really impacted him. That loss in round 9 yesterday when he had the lead, he just had overtaken Praggnanandhaa. Hopefully there's no hangover effect from that. He gets the black pieces against Hari. Grischuk gets black against Maxime. You know Maxime wants that revenge because Grischuk, he crushed Maxime in that first game of yesterday's action.
I met Maxime at dinner yesterday, and he mentioned that during the Rapid, he came in, joined us in the commentary studio, so it proved to be really the good luck charm for him. He might want to do that today again. And I was like, good luck finding the time between the Blitz games. But we'd, of course, love to have him. But just how different Blitz is as a format. It's a different animal completely, Robert. We can see that from the performance. Maxime and Radjabov finishing at the top of the leaderboard in the Rapid started with 3 losses in the Blitz, and right now really struggling.
Yeah, it's in part because they start with 3 minutes for the whole game. So you do not have time to calculate in some critical moments if you spend too much of your time early on. So it's a different format, it's a different time control, and very importantly, there are 9 games in a given day. So it's more quantity of games with a shorter time control, and that can impact players. If you lose round 1, as we saw yesterday, you could lose the first 3 rounds. And is that Vidit there? He's meditating?
That is Vidit there meditating. It is something we see him do very often before a game, regardless of the format of the tournament. Classical, rapid blitz, he really likes to get into the zone and just clear his thoughts. And there we see Arjun Erigaisi, who's currently on 4th position. He starts against Vincent. These two were together at dinner yesterday, as you mentioned.
They seem to be very good friends. We were all sharing thoughts and from our different experiences and cultures. And this matchup is one that all fans have their eyes on because Praggnanandhaa, the tournament leader, is taking on Radjabov, who's at the bottom of the standings, surprisingly, after his strong performance in Rapid. And so Praggnanandhaa wants to continue Radjabov's tough event. He wants to deliver another win for the Indian fans.
And look at that, they're playing when you almost packed to the brim there. This is the last day of action for the Tata Steel Chess India. So definitely if you're in Kolkata, you've got to join in and actually feel the energy in the National Library and watch all these greats of the game fight it out. But it's 9 games, it's almost like a brand new tournament. And despite 3 players with a huge sort of point margin with the rest of the field, it's everything to play for each one of them, even those who are at the bottom of the table. It's just a matter of getting the first couple of victories in to start the day.
And it's not impossible for a player in this field to win all 9 games. That sounds far-fetched. You may call me ridiculous, but we saw Magnus Carlsen in the Grand Chess Tour, and it's Magnus, so you have higher expectations for him. But when you get that hot streak going, it could not stop. And we see looks like honorary first moves going to be made by special guests.
Yes, we saw the tournament director, Jeroen, right there with the ceremonial moves. And very soon it will be go time. It is go time, handshakes, and we've got moves on the board. It starts with the Italian by Pragg.
And it's a solid setup, but he likes to go for some queenside expansion in the near future from this opening. And for Radjabov, he has a ton of experience in these variations. So it is that youth versus experience matchup. And we'll see how ambitious Praggnanandhaa is. I think that he wants to win every game he plays.
That's true. Again, it doesn't matter where he's playing, who he's playing against. If he gets the chances, if the opportunities present themselves, he is going to take them. He's not a safe player. He's fearless, and we've been seeing that kind of chess from him throughout the Tata Steel. But this is an interesting approach by Pragg in the opening, where in the Italian he's decided to develop the knight. We see the trades happen. C5 is a double pawn, but it does get a lot of control on the D5 central square. But it's Pragg's knight that gets to jump first.
That's right. There was that tension between the bishops. Black could have taken on e3, but didn't want the pawn to take. And speaking of e3, a knight just jumped back. I don't know where that knight's going, but knight d4 can be met by a c3 push at the right moment. You do have to be worried about the loose d3 pawn. But this is a very fascinating opening battle. I'm curious to see how it develops from here.
It already is a very fun game because black can start advancing on the queen side. You were talking about knight jumping onto d4, losing a tempo. At some point, Radjabov can go for b5, targeting that bishop on c4 and also gain space on the queen side. He jumps in with the knight. Is white going to go for c3 right now, forcing the knight to take a decision? You might even see the knight fall back to e6 and sort of play copycat with white's knights.
Whoa, he says, no knight trade for you. Give me the f5 square. He's going to kick the knight out of d4 with c3 first, then bring a knight to f5, then maybe play f4. Tanya, it's the calm before the storm. I can see white just cracking open the king side and going for that black king that's on g8.
And you can feel it that white is getting ambitious here. b5 played, the bishop has to fall back, and c3 is still a big threat. But what Radjabov is relying on is that once you do push the central knight, you're going to have a weakness on d3. So you might look at lining up the rook and the queen already, preempting that c3 push.
That's right. You want to target this weak pawn, or that pawn that presumably will become weak after the c3 push. But I like the initiative for white. c3, get the queen out to f3 and go forward. So this one promises to be very interesting going to the distance. And why don't we go to another... Whoa! Why don't we go to another game? And then g5 was just played. He's defending by attacking, and I actually kind of like it.
That's a big committal move on the king's side. When you see your opponent getting ambitious, they're moving the pawns in front of the king. It can backfire, but very direct play, and I think it's also targeted that it is a blitz game. Once you start making moves like this, posing questions to your opponent, you force them into a think. Burning that clock, the knight had to fall back. F5 was not a good square with black's knight and bishop being able to trade into favorable circumstances.
But this looks very nice for white, strategically speaking, some loose squares in the position. But while we have a moment, why don't we hop to that game between Hari and Vidit? Because it looks like Vidit Gujarati is in big trouble against Pantala Harikrishna, who's in the middle of the standings. He's one of those players who can...
We've got to go there right now. Look at this position. It's white's move, queen f7.
Thank you very much. That is a... Wait, did he not go for it?
No.
He castled.
Because f7 cannot be defended. That's how good his position is.
That is wild. You can take on f7 with check. It's probably the... why don't you take it, though? I don't understand why you throw in castling. I don't think it matters all that much. Black probably has to run with the king to d8 at some point. But this is a terrible position for Vidit.
I know it's blitz, but let's just show the last two moves, how this even happened here. Queen takes d5, and now the bishop and the queen eventually lined up. Black attacked white's bishop. You fall back, and you're already in a lot of trouble here. Vidit, everything went wrong from the beginning in this one.
Yeah, he didn't get his pieces out. He is underdeveloped. His king is now on d8, so he actually kept his pawn. That's the quote-unquote good news for Vidit. The bad news is he has no development. g7 will fall at some point in the near future. If he survives this game, that would be just absolutely ridiculous.
You're pointing out g7. I'm looking at that h4 knight. It is the Pragg knight, but this one is landing into enemy territory. Knight g6, knight f5 coming in. But I wonder if Hari just feels that perhaps he should have also grabbed that f7 pawn, and he's regretting the decision to go castle first.
I'm not sure it really matters. I just don't see how Vidit gets out of it. Maybe he's going to play b5 and like rook a7 and try to defend his knight, but all of his pawns seem to be falling.
And all of this for just, well, not even one extra pawn anymore. It is level material. Look at black's king. White's pieces are already into enemy camp here. Queen c5 play, trying to defend that bishop on e7 against any knight jump. Do you see a blow here, Robert? I'm trying to figure out a way. Bishop e6 just keeps the pressure going.
And the thing is, you can stop the checkmating attack, but you're going to keep losing pawns. So at the very best for black, you're down several points of material. And at the worst, you just get checkmated because your king's in the center and white's pieces are staring at it.
And this kind of a start is going to hurt with it, right? Feeling the form, feeling the momentum, being in second place, playing against a player who's been struggling not only in the blitz but also in the rapid. Definitely Vidit was looking for his chances in this one, and it's gone wrong in every possible way.
And it looks like...
Watch out, rook d5 is a big threat. Your queen doesn't have a square to keep the e7 bishop defended.
Yeah, rook d5 and b4, so it kicks the queen a little bit. But again, the queen slides over, h6 is loose, e7 is hanging. I like b4, I like kicking the queen. But what I was going to say is, the other games also are just so interesting. It's hard to choose, but I do think we're on the right one, Tanya. You picked a good one here, that this king on d8, it feels like it's a matter of time before it's made. But speaking of matter of time, both players down to around 40 seconds. That's when mistakes happen.
And it's a huge game for our standings as well. Vidit has to keep the scoreboard up. He starts with a bad game. It can also sort of set a tone that you're not happy with. But Hari, he needs to finish this off. Is the rook?
Oh, king.
He had to go back. Whoa, and the other rook slides in. You pin the bishop on d7.
This is brutal. This is as one-sided as it gets. The king runs away again. But can you take a second minor piece and then a third after that? All of black's pieces are falling.
Let's zoom in on our live action. Let's get the players up on the screen. We will have the board. Producer G, let's quickly head over to the live board right now. Rook d7. The king falls back. And like you mentioned, you can pick up the house. Just go. Do you go knight e7?
I would be taking that piece. I don't see what's wrong with it. And he does, in fact, grab a third minor piece for a rook. Watch out for the back rank. That's the only thing that black can threaten is if this rook somehow moves out the way, there would be a check on d1. The king is exposed without many defenders.
I would be so tempted to just create a luft right now. He does fall back with the knight, but a move like g3 would be something that you just want to play and make sure you never get mated on the back rank.
Yeah, I think for Vidit, he just has no more threats. This rook doesn't have an open file to use. He is going to make sure that his king is safe, will Hari. And unless there's some kind of tragic blunder, he should be taking the full point.
And look at that, queens have been traded off, but that's 3 pieces for a rook. 9 versus 5 points here, and that's just too much. Not even an extra pawn, and Hari's going to confidently convert this. The other game, Praggnanandhaa, Temur Radjabov, also on seconds. This is a Hari win. Do you want to switch to that, Robert?
Let's go to the Praggnanandhaa game against Radjabov, because for the 3rd time in this event, Pragg has checkmated Radjabov's king. Every time they play, Pragg checkmates him.
Wow, we just switched exactly in the moment, and this one's over already. Pragg gets the dub in. Let's quickly go back to the Hari board, as they are also about to reach the end of their game.
Okay.
And we have a result. Vincent beat Arjun.
Vincent, they had dinner together last night, but they were not friends at the board, not whatsoever. But this game, I mean, you couldn't ask for more from the white side. Hari has 3 minor pieces for just a lone rook, and all of black's pawns are about to fall.
And it is the only live game remaining. We can see in the background Gukesh readjusting his pieces, getting ready for the next one, and that ended in Nodirbek's favor. So Gukesh starts with a loss.
And Vidit started with a loss as well. They shook hands. I mean, this position is just a dream. So Hari gets a win, and now he's up to 5 points, so much better in the Blitz than in the Rapid. That's great to see, because we were feeling for him by the end of the Rapid.
Yes, it's and things can really turn around. He's got so many games today. If he keeps this up, wins another game, Hari might be just back. Again, you need to get that hot streak, that winning streak going at the start, and we could see a completely different leaderboard. But for now, the leader remains the same. Pragg getting a win in, and with that win, we've also got 4 other decisive games that ended with white winning. Grischuk draws, so Pragg actually increases his lead going into the next round.
He was my pick to win it all. You see Pragg alone in 7.5 out of 10. Grischuk at 6.5, and then you see Vidit still in 3rd with 6 and 5 points after that. So I mean, the lead is extending for Praggnanandhaa, and the reason why is he plays amazing chess. It doesn't matter the time control. He goes for the enemy king. It started quietly, Tanya, but it ended with a loud bang against his king.
I think we have to take a look at this game. We've got a checkmate at the end. How did black's king arrive on G6? This amazing harmony between the knight and the queen. Let's take it from the top.
Let's go back to where we left it. We were right here after knight to f3. And it looks like Raja, he tried to take control of that d file, as you mentioned. And in this game, we see just maneuvering back and forth. And this knight to f1, I think it makes perfect sense. Go for these weak light squares and kick this knight out of here. Tanya, in a blitz game, this looks very difficult for black.
It really does. Again, it's so hard to defend against a weak king when you don't have enough time on the clock, even if objectively the position is fine. It's really hard to face the initiative of your opponent, and here we see he doesn't even have a weakness to target. The d3 pawn is still intact. He did move back with the queen in this position, and white immediately strikes. Pragg, as he said yesterday, when he's got the opportunity to create those attacking chances, he's taking them a lot more than he used to in the past.
Yeah, he is a very aggressive player, and he could strike with c3, but instead he goes the other side of the board with h4, opening up the black king. Now, the eval bar is not so pleased, but that doesn't matter in blitz chess. It's about king safety. It's about feeling comfortable, and with under a minute on the clock, it's not easy to play such a position, especially with that hole on the f5 square.
And I like that rook retreat. He makes sure that the rook will be a part of the game. Rook a1, a nice move, and after a takes b5, the pawns got traded, and eventually the knight does land on f5, and all it needs is a supporting cast. You want to get your queen onto the h file after the king moved up. That's exactly what he tried to do. With the h-pawn already on h4, this is big trouble for black.
Yeah, look at black playing simple moves, rook d7, and after a swap on g5, because the rook is on d7 and on d8, there's no rook h8 to save the day. Queen h6 is checkmate in 1, and after knight g8 stopping mate in 1, g4 happens, and he resigns. And the reason why is, let's say black makes some move like c6, this queen isn't even have to go to h5, though that is good. And the point is you're getting to g7 with mate. So queen h5, king f6, queen h8, check. The knight is in the rook's path, so the king slides over, queen g7 is checkmate.
That's a checkmate in 3 that can't be stopped after that g4 move. A really nice conversion there by Praggnanandhaa. The moment Temur went g5, we felt it could really backfire. But it felt as if Pragg gave him no chances after that. Getting that knight to h4, getting it to f5, striking with h4. Really an attacking masterpiece in this one by Pragg. Let's take a look at another game that we missed out on. Alexander Grischuk. He drew his game. He started the day at joint second, and but still a result that he doesn't have to be too displeased about with the black pieces holding Maxime.
No, you're never too upset about a draw with black. And at some point, I believe he had a better position. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that the eval bar was in his favor. And around here, it was a messy affair. And queen to d1, that was a missed shot by both players. But around this position, look at what's happening here. Black has a better pawn structure. The c4 pawn is loose. The e2 pawn is loose. And here, instead of making maybe an active move, like say knight to a5, we saw rook to d8. And then when the pieces came off, the draw was eventually the right result. But this game could have gone to Grischuk's way. He was the player with the better chances. But Tanya, as we say, drawing with black, you're never really going to complain too much.
No, and there are still 8 rounds remaining. You just want to make sure that you don't start on a bad note. But one player for whom the day did start badly is Arjun Argesi. We looked at Pragg's mate, but in Arjun's game, it was Arjun who ended up in the mating kill zone. And that's the last position. Rook 8-7 is a threat that you can't fight. You either lose big material or even bigger material, your king.
As you see checkmate, you look for better, right? That's what we keep saying. But rook h7 is mate in 1. There's absolutely nothing you can do besides play knight f6, and I just simply take your knight, and I'm still going to checkmate the king. So this game looks like it got out of hand, and you know that black made a move in this game g5, and it earned the question mark. It created weak squares around the black king.
G5 in Raja's game as well. You've got to be so careful of these pawn push in chess because again, pawns don't move backwards. Every move has its own set of consequences, its own set of weak squares that you leave behind.
And look at how Vincent played this game. He went to the queen side, he stayed in the center, and white controls the pawn breaks. Black has this eyesore on c7. It's a backwards pawn. And look at the eval, saying black's not even that much worse, but look at how passive he is. And bishop g4 hits the rook, says, get out the way, your c7 pawn is mine. And white gives up e4 for c7, but here we see the makings of an attack, namely the 7th rank pressure with bishop e6.
It already looks like the house is falling apart for black because sure, you traded the c and the e pawn, but nothing's going to defend your f7 pawn. The rook on b8 is overloaded, can't move to f8 because the bishop falls, so he had to give up the f7 pawn, fell back with the king, and just 2 moves later, the other rook lands on the 7th rank, and it was game over.
It was the makings of a great game for Vincent Keimer because he had the superior activity. And for Arjun, that's an unfortunate loss. He's now lost 2 games in a row because he ended the day yesterday with a loss to Praggnanandhaa. So he's falling back in the standings. But for Vincent, that probably feels pretty good.
It does. And actually, that's been the storyline of this round 1. Players who were struggling on day 1, did not score heavy, have actually come back for revenge today. They have had a great round 1, including Nodirbek Abdusattoro, who started the day at the bottom of the leaderboard, starts with a big win against Gukesh. And let's bring that game up. The final position, an extra exchange, which is going to be a full rook soon.
Can we just talk about the last move of the game? There was a fork here, and white can't play queen d3. It looks like a pin, but when the knight is pinned, it still can capture and protect the queen on d8. So the last move of the game was this classy rook d6, and if you take this rook on d6, I'm up a piece. Let's go. Unfortunately, this pawn says let's go, become a new queen.
Yes, so you can't even really do that, and then instead you just end up losing the piece. So Gukesh resigned there. It's been a tough start for the Indian youngsters. Arjun losing, Gukesh losing, but still 8 games to go, so too soon to call. Let's take a look at our standings going into round 11, and Pragg still at the top, but a lot of shuffling around in the middle of the leaderboard.
Praggnanandhaa, he's happy about what's happened elsewhere because Grischuk didn't win, Vidit suffered a loss, and with Pragg, he's looking down at the rest of the players, but as you said, Nodirbek Abdusattoro, Harikrishna, these are players who are feeling the rhythm. They just won their games, and Pragg, in this next game, we always say it doesn't get any easier. He plays Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who drew against Grischuk.
Oh, that's going to be a big one. He did win in that first encounter of the Blitz. Can Pragg keep the same form going? He starts on a high note in a very convincing victory against Temur Radjabov. And these are the pairings that are coming up. Got a big round 2. And to take us through all the action, we've got the legend back with us in the studio. Joining is the ambassador of the Tata Steel Chess India, the one and only Vachier-Lagrave.
So great to be joined by such a legend each and every day, especially as one of the youngsters from India continues to shine. Here you see the playing hall and all of the fans in attendance, and you see the players not seated because they have a few minutes break. They are hanging out in the lounge. They'll come back when all is good and ready to play their next game, but they deserve a little break. So we see some handshakes. Actually, some players already now seated. But Vichy, what do you make of Praggnanandhaa's win? It feels like he's back in form after those 2 losses yesterday.
Yes, he's stabilized. I think the final win was very important yesterday because he would still be a huge plus score, but it's nice to clinch it like that, and then very good start today.
We had 4 decisive games, Anand, in round 1. Which one stood out to you?
Well, clearly, Vidit losing helps Pragg's lead, and Grischuk also falls slightly behind, so the margin's a bit bigger.
The margin's big by another half a point, so he leads by a point, but Robert and I were discussing with 8 games, it's all about getting a streak, and still the tournament is wide open.
Totally. This 1 point, I say it is insurance rather than anything, like any sort of guarantee. It's 1 more point that your rivals have to catch up, but everything to play for in 8 games. That too in this format, you can't coast.
In case you blunder something, you're like, okay, I still at worst am tied for the lead if you just throw away a game. But
right.
Pragg, I had dinner with him and Arjun and Vincent yesterday. They all seem to be in very good spirits. And I think that they, as you've been saying, they're really good at just putting the past behind them. That has impressed me a lot.
Yes, they seem to come to terms with it much faster. And or in fact, they shrug it off and just get on with it, which is what you do.
Is that somewhat easier when it's Blitz? There's little turnaround time. You're already back to the board. Is it easier to do it than compared to, let's say, a classical tournament?
Of course, a classical tournament is 1 game, and it's taken a lot out of you, so it's harder to just shrug it off.
Yeah.
Blitz, by its nature, you shrug off. I mean, which of your 9 games are you supposed to sit and dwell on? There might be a very painful one, but mostly you just move on.
And we got a big matchup. This one, Pragg against
But it's
Maxime.
very exciting to have 3 contenders, at least, and then even the others are...
And the
What
ones
are
who
the standings
actually...
now?
Yeah, we can bring up the standings as well. The ones who had a difficult day yesterday, actually, most of them start with a win today.
Yes, big win for Hari, obviously. And
Nodirbek as well won his game.
yeah,
Vincent starts with a win.
So, yeah, you can see that big jump to 4.5. A lot of people who are struggling there up to 4.5. And yeah.
All right, we've got action on the board. Let's get to the chess. Let's bring up our live boards.
And we know that Praggnanandhaa takes on Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. In this one, Maxime won the rapid. The Blitz has not gone his way, but as we know, at any moment, Maxime can heat up. He is a former World Blitz champion. So Vichy out of the opening. Pragg playing d4. He just played e4 a round ago.
Yes, but he's able to do both, and he'll switch quite often, especially in these tie-break matches. He'll switch from one to the other effortlessly. On top of that, well, it's a running gag in the world of chess, Maxime and his openings with black. By very, very good by all means, but slightly on the predictable side. And once again, we have a Grunfeldish thing. So...
And we see that.
And now, yeah, Queen D1, CD5, Knight C3, Knight B6. Is that how it goes?
It looks like he's going exactly as you're saying, Knight to
Yeah,
B6.
and then Knight C6. And the point is, after B3, that knight is slightly misplaced on B6. Whether you can capitalize on it very easily is not clear. But also, if white plays, let's say E3, Queen E2, Queen could come to B5. One disadvantage of having that pawn advanced on A4.
Would like to push that one back if you could.
Yes, so... probably slightly structurally favorable, but of course, whether you land a blow or not matters a lot.
And Tanya, this one early stages looks like the engine is not budging. It says right down the middle. Or any games, do we see a player with an edge?
I think all boards are equally fascinating, but very similar position in the Gukesh Hari matchup, where actually it's the white pawn that has gone down the board to A5 to create a similar pawn structure. Maybe we can quickly get an update on that one.
Okay, pulling up that game here, and it's exactly right. The pawn did take on B6, so an open file for Gukesh, and well, black doesn't look too bad here.
No, black is doing well. First of all, slight detail that the knight is on G6 instead of its usual square on F6. And more important, that pawn is on B6, not A6 versus A5. So the white knight doesn't have the C5 square available. And, black taking full advantage of that. looks quite solid for black.
All right, this one looks solid for black. Let's move over to Vidit, who started the day with a loss. So it's important for him to make sure that he's able to keep things under control in this one. He starts with white against Grischuk. Keeping under control against Grischuk feels like a bit of a contradictory statement.
Yes, but generally the chaos will come at some point. But for the moment, Grischuk actually has fairly solid openings. It's just that he gets into time pressure and he takes some very unconventional decisions. He might, at a late stage in the game, take a lot of time and then do something very complicated. So that's why he's unpredictable. But so far, this looks like an opening, Wesley could be playing. So it's just well thought out and all that.
Very solid.
In fact, his position looks nice. I mean, the knight on c7, f6 balances f4 and c3 quite nicely. I think it's a very nice position. The way to break this tie would be some g4, h4, but it doesn't look possible now. Not here.
Too adventurous. And this is a big matchup because Grischuk and Vidit enter the day and tie for second place. Now Grischuk in clear second, a half point ahead of Vidit. But if Vidit can win, suddenly he feels like he's a shot at first once
also,
again.
CD is a threat, so white has to react.
Oh, that would be a bad blunder on the first rank. This rook is going to be captured, sacrificed.
Going with our theme of taking back bad moves, bishop back to d2 might plug that gap for a second. No, I'm joking, but
he goes knight b5, so he defends by attacking in a way. And
hang on a second, just go back one move.
Okay.
What do you think of c4?
Too many tactics.
Well, I'm cutting the protection, so you would have to
take on D6.
You take on d6 and take on c4. That's the problem. Okay, I understand. I was thinking that maybe I could play b5, a5 and all that stuff, but it just there's a little
the engine somehow likes this position for black despite blundering a pawn. We'll always be confused by
maybe the queen's getting trapped on b7 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. But here we see the trade, and it looks like some moves have been in. The pawn on b3. So
I get it. g5, g4. That was the point.
Oh, wow.
And the pin is knocked off, so you can maybe show that, but we don't have the time maybe.
Yeah. And also there's a mate in one threatened on the Temur Radjabov Vincent board. Although I see the eval bar, it says it's a one move threat. If parried, it should be fine for white, but maybe we can get a quick take on that, Anand.
Wow, that looks like a great blitz position to have for white.
After g6, you would have to sack the pawn.
With knight f6?
Yes, knight f... Well,
immediately.
well, d4 now looks really nice then.
Opening up the bishop?
Yeah, but stopping you playing d4 mostly. And then that makes my bishop very well.
It looks messy. I mean, if this knight gets out the way and we see an f4, f5, then white has a future. But look at Vincent, he understands.
But wait a minute, if I go... What did he... Oh, he went c4 and rook c4. That's also nice.
Yeah, just cracking open the position. So now white
has
to be in the defensive.
White stabilizes because after f3 that... actually, I would have liked h5, h4 if possible. Instead of c4. While the knight was on f4, h5, h4. But maybe knight h5 he didn't want to allow. So.
But in this position, it feels like white didn't want to get stable. Stable is not the, I think, operative word. He was looking for an attack, a checkmate, and there's nothing to speak of. It feels like black is having all the fun as his bishop at some point will land on a6.
But nonetheless, this pawn structure is not as bad as it looks for white. I mean, I can go... the knight on d3 is kind of solid. I like this pawns on f3, e4 because it kind of blunts that bishop. It'll still probably trade itself on d3. We'll see.
Okay, so this game, one player struggling, Timur Radjabov in particular, but Tanya at the top of the standings, what do we got to go to?
We've got to go to Pragg because he's under 20 seconds right now. It is an endgame. Pragg has got the bishop pair. Are there any chances for Pragg here trying to create something with the bishop pair?
Two bishops, you always have some chances as you play along, but at the moment I would guess it's just equal. But two bishops, you have the luxury of keeping on playing and then seeing if something turns up. So maybe that'll happen.
And it helps that we've also got pawns on both sides of the board.
Yes, without the b7 pawn, white would have nothing to play for, that's clear. But now it's a solid advantage for white because... because you just shuffle around,
yeah.
Okay, so this pin looks a bit problematic, but maybe not so much. But I see a problem for Vidit Gujrathi right now against Alexander Grischuk. So if Grischuk can win, by the way, he has lost 0 games in the Blitz. Oh, he's just going for a mini attack.
Yeah.
Let's bring that
Queen
up really
takes
quickly.
c4, some rook takes g2 might just clinch it.
Vidit versus Alexander Grischuk.
Oh, if you have to play f3 and weaken your pawns like this, but
But there's no checkmate yet.
Yes, maybe bishop h3, rook g1, but then I bring the other rook to d6. And, okay, bishop b7 also nice. Asking you, are you going to sack your pawn?
Right, can't play e4 because d4 is loose.
Here, for instance, queen h3.
You
would
and
go
Grischuk?
rook df1. And if
Defending
rook g1,
h3?
then king
King
g1. And rook
The
d6,
other
yeah.
rook comes in.
But where's the
Oh.
knockout? I guess it's going to be a rook check and back to f6, but at some point e4 will be available. So it's kind of hard to time this correctly for black.
Yes,
Although
okay, hang on. I think something has been timed for us, but what is it? Okay, I see one idea. Bishop takes c3. Bishop takes c... Okay,
He
there.
goes back.
e4, bishop h2 also
Ah,
wins,
the-
yeah. I was thinking bishop c3 and rook g3, which might also be strong because e4, bishop takes e4. But this might be stronger, yeah.
You can't actually fight the threat of bishop h2.
No, it's over.
And you might just lose
Because
on
rook
time.
f2, bishop h2
And
anyway.
handshakes, yes. Rook f2, bishop h2 anyway. And we've got a result that's with its second loss in a row.
And that puts Grischuk in very commanding position with second place and maybe even
We have
much
results
closer in
on
first
it.
place. Oh, and Radjabov has beaten Kaima.
Radjabov is winning. Oh, that's a checkmate on the board.
Nothing. Probably the most accurate statement I've made in commentary in this week that he's beaten. So.
That leaves us just one game remaining. Arjun Argaisi and Nodirbek. How does Nodirbek always have his king out in the open? Like, it doesn't matter the position.
Yes, but think about it this way: if that white king was on h2 for a second, so let's say I go king h2.
Yes. Oh.
Okay, he's happily repeating, but my point was somehow that if black didn't have this queen b1 check, he would not have a move with his queen
Right.
because queen f4 mate.
Right.
And he cannot go king h6 because he loses the h4 pawn. So you would have to move the knight. The only square available to the knight is f7. And at the very least, that's slightly unpleasant. But
It
anyway,
ends.
they've just
They
finished
repeated.
that. And what else happened?
2 draws.
Pragg
3
never really
decisive
came
wins.
close. Gukesh wins.
Gukesh wins against Hari.
Yeah, the final position does not look particularly friendly to Hari, as well. It's a nice pass pawn for white, and I guess this kind of ended earlier than you would
Isn't
think.
resignation slightly premature?
Feels like it.
Or was it a loss on time?
I
He had
think
4 seconds on the clock. in
So
this
knight takes
position.
e5, d takes e5, and basically Hari is saying this is hopeless. But it's not easy for me to play bishop a6 and b7 because if I go bishop a6, you do the queen b1 check routine. And I mean, if I play g5 here and then queen d8 f6. No, maybe g6, and what we say, it's time to grovel. And maybe queen c5 b5 is what he didn't like.
so. Knight b7. Oh, check.
And then queen
check.
c8 check.
Yeah.
So that's so then I would first have to play queen b4 instead of g6. But then
you
you
go
go
queen
check and
d6?
bishop d3. Yes. Queen d8 check and bishop d3 maybe.
Yeah, that also.
And this pawn
It's not
looks
the end of the world.
very weak, but it's
Yeah.
this. I guess
Queen
the king can
f6
always.
and wipe out all 4. You know, take all
Yeah.
4 pawns.
Yeah, but it feels like black is just barely hanging on by a thread, and as you're saying, this bishop could.
It wasn't
get to
really
the-
necessary to. It is bad. It's not by. Hari might have just decided to save himself some
Yeah,
trouble.
I'm
so
enough.
that's
I've
that's
had
practical.
enough.
Yeah.
So we had 2 draws and 3 wins. We were able to focus on some of the games, but this was one of them that we didn't look at. Do you want to just take a quick look at how it started and how Gukesh managed to convert the advantage?
Sure, I think we left off around.
At rook a5, move
Rook-
17.
rook
I think we saw
A5.
that and we were Rook a4, so that if rook a8, did he play rook a8?
But how rare do you see that? Rook a5, rook a4, both players just
It's lovely.
move their rook to the 4th rank.
It's
And-
even harder with bishops. I think John Nunn was saying that if you have a bishop on d3, black has a bishop on g6. One of the hardest moves to make is bishop f5. Basically saying you can still take it, but
Yeah.
it's a bit closer
What,
to your king or
collinear
something.
move?
Collinear move, that's it. Docky used to call it the collinear move.
But those are always my favorite. Like
Yeah.
I often think it's one square short of expectation because when someone, just if we go here,
Yeah.
when someone lifts up their rook, you're expecting them to trade and they stop right before it. I always love that type of idea, and it's obviously best in the 7th rank when you get your rook down there. But here,
Sure.
so how did white seize the advantage? I guess would be the big question.
Okay, I see a pass pawn coming, but and now did he go knight c8? No, he eliminated it. Okay, knight f2. No, he went knight c5.
So white's just much more active.
Yes, but I don't see the advantage. I mean, knight d6, bishop f1, some knight c6.
He just said,
Is it that trivial?
it looks like black should be right in this, but as we always say, it's blitz.
Yes,
Mistakes are-
maybe queen b8 was better than this.
to stop the
Oh,
b4.
I see the problem. Takes b5. That's the problem. That's what happened.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Just a cut. So bishop a4, queen a7 was maybe a mistake. Maybe queen b8 was better. I don't know.
That's so beautiful, though, to show everybody. Knight takes b5 looks like a free pawn because if bishop takes, queen takes. But no, I take this knight on c6, and
In fact, you lose the second knight as well. So this is
this one was that now started to get out of hand and quickly collapsed completely
Correct.
for black. So that one was a win for Gukesh. Tanya, the other boards.
We did see how Vidit lost at the end, but it looked like a really nice tactical game. So let's see how Grischuk managed to get the attack going with black.
I'm getting ahead of myself to the next round. Let's go back a game to Grischuk winning with black. We saw the final position, as you noted, but earlier on it was a slugfest, as I like to say. So no bishop a5 stuff from Grischuk in this one.
But you predicted it, right? At some moment, this will explode. We will have action.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, we saw all this.
Yeah.
The knight came
But
up.
this is lovely. I mean, knight a6, knight c7. If you get that, it's a great position to have. I think Vidit kind of gives it away when he's playing knight b5 because he's saying I have no real plans here. So
And this is the moment we left it last.
yeah, I mean, I was focusing on g4, c4, and
I think.
and I thought knight d6, queen d6, bishop takes c4 because of the pin. But there might be g5, g4.
Ooh.
No, in not taking and g5 and g4, and then your queen cannot stay on the diagonal. That would be my point.
Wow, that's actually just to show everybody that, well, first on knight d3 I'll lose a piece because I can just take and take. But if I go knight to e2, g4 kicks the queen off this diagonal and you're going to lose a piece. So
Yeah.
just to show that now you lose this piece because the bishop on b7 is fine, and somehow the advantage is still not as big as one would expect to be a full piece up in a blitz.
I mean, basically what happened was I saw c4, then a few seconds later I saw bishop c4 and thought, Then I saw the evaluation didn't drop. So then I think, well, white didn't drop. And then we worked out g5, g4. So
it's good analysis.
sleuth
you know?
work. Yeah.
But
See, he just walked into the c4. Okay.
Right, can't
Which
take.
is right back where we started because now black gets to push his pawns and everything.
Can't take because the queen is going to be hanging. So Tanya, these type of pawn expansions always so pleasant for black, and that was a big moment, I would say, because this is also
dc4, but I
tempting.
think he didn't like e4 maybe. Yeah, it's e4 is available, so he didn't want to allow it.
Messy, too messy. But b takes c4 is a pass pawn, and you control the e4 square. So
Incidentally, I think instead of b5, c3 might be just a very good move. Because I'm threatening b5, b4, after which your bishop on c1 is entombed.
Yep.
So, and I don't see how you can attack that c3 pawn really. So,
you can always bring a rook right behind it. Yeah, no, this pawn's not getting attacked.
yeah.
So it looks like after this moment, it looks like
Yeah.
black kind of had a lot of fun on the queen side. And this a5 bishop b4, so unpleasant. Can't ever take because after pawn takes, now you're fixing black's structure and helping that pass pawn along. But now, okay, white is so passive, and this position, rook a6.
Another point of a5 that all the rooks slide in on the 6th.
Tanya, we always love a good rook lift.
You've got to love it, especially when it comes to these attacking positions. But it seems to be one of those games where it's hard to point out where exactly things went wrong for Vidit. But Grischuk just seemed like he kept building on the momentum.
Yes, I mean even before knight e4, I think black is solidly better because I can start with rook a6 if I want. I don't have to play knight a4 anyway. I can start with rook a6, bishop c8. Knight e4 is a big part of the plot, but already this is very nice for black.
And after rook a6, the attack just seemed to flow on the king side, Robert, and we saw that.
I think this
Really
combination
nice
of pawn on
finish.
e4 and bishop maybe coming to g4 is too strong.
Right, you have to play f3 at some point, and queen h4. So now
Yeah.
you play f3. I didn't even bring my bishop up, but that seems
But
to
wait,
be the
maybe
big
bishop
mistake.
d6 was available there. Hang on, just after f3, just see if bishop d6 works.
f4?
Bishop g4
Oh, sorry.
and winning the exchange. But queen
Yeah.
c4, maybe there's some compensation. I don't know. Bishop d1, rook d1, queen f2, queen f1.
And this is actually a good example of the resilience you've mentioned about some of the younger players. Like even positions that look losing, they're able to dig deep and fight because even if they don't have the eval bar in that game, they see a position like this and say, "Oh, it's only 1.7 for black." Whereas I think traditionally we think it's completely winning, but it's
Yeah.
not so easy.
They'll hang in there, but maybe not much in this position.
Yeah.
Because if I play f5 and then bishop b4 rook c6, I think it's over.
Yeah, so quickly
But this
ended.
is clean enough. Yeah.
The second rook left and bishop d6. You couldn't stop bishop takes h2. The rook on f1 is not going to be able to survive. So that was a nice win for Grischuk. He's now second place, clear in the standings, and he's only half point behind Praggnanandhaa. So big chances to overtake him.
And 1.5 points ahead of Vidit. So there is a huge gap there suddenly. Pragg gets the half-point lead. In just 3 minutes, we'll have the next round. Big matchups coming
Actually,
up.
even 4th place and 5th place are not in sight of Pragg anymore. It's 2.5 points. You need 3 games to catch up. That one.
That's a lot.
So that is a noticeable split of the field. But with it still in there. I mean, tough loss, but he's very much in there. So.
But it's also starting the day with 2 losses. What does he need to tell himself right now going into the next game?
I don't know.
He plays Maxime.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy.
But the nice thing in Blitz is you don't have to sit and overthink anything. You just start playing.
Yeah.
And that's probably what he'll do.
But it's the insurance you talked about. He's lost 2 games today, and he's still on clear third.
Correct.
So that's the
that's a kind of insurance.
Yeah, that's the insurance that he needed. And okay, he still plays Pragg, and he beat Pragg yesterday.
Last
so
round.
when you get that head-to-head in front of you, you still feel like you have a chance.
Sorry, penultimate. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But right now it feels like it's becoming a 2-horse race, right? With Pragg and Grischuk just pulling away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, well, Pragg keeps winning and Grischuk never loses. That's the story. Grischuk has 0 losses.
He
in all
has
the
0
Blitz.
losses, and on day 1 he had 6 draws in Blitz out of 9 games. Did that surprise you, Anand?
It shows that he's in control. It happens once in a while that people just don't lose Blitz games. They make a +2 or +3. And actually, the funny thing when I was playing these GCT events is I realized that while winning streaks are all very nice, not losing or only losing 1 game will often just boost your Blitz performance because everyone is wobbling so much.
Yeah.
And so if you manage to stay solid, you find that your score is moving up steadily.
Yeah.
It's underestimated that you can win a tournament with draws, but it does help not to lose games.
So sometimes not losing is more important than going all out and taking those risky chances to get the decisive results. And we see the players are ready to go.
Yeah.
In just a few moments, we will have the first moves and the handshakes. And this is a big one as Grischuk plays against Gukesh.
Gukesh, yeah.
And meanwhile, Praggnanandhaa gets the black pieces against Vincent Keimer. So we see another all-Indian clash here between Hari and Arjun. And
Yeah.
the hands are shaking, and off we go. There's that Pragg-Vincent matchup. So again, we had dinner yesterday. They were friends, but not at the chessboard. They are able to put that aside. And all right, Pragg, he keeps playing these knight c6s. Oh, what's this, Vichy? e6 and g6.
Yes. At some point long back, d4 knight f6, c4 knight c6, and I remember Yasser was publishing the stuff in. It was annoying for people who were trying to study the game seriously, but it did show that at that point you couldn't refute these things that easily, and so.
Maybe Yasser was ahead of his time.
Yes. But what is the pawn actually doing on e6 that you're willing to waste a tempo putting it there? Are you trying to play queen e7 and e5?
Also, Yasser is definitely ahead of his time. He's the original pawn grabber, and now engines are saying every position you can go pawn hunting.
Style, pawn grabbing. I don't know. What is he not ahead of his? He's one of the original commentators of chess. I mean, Yasser Seirawan, Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan, we love him. He's busy commentating another event in St. Louis. So Queen E8. So he's going for E5, but this one looks quiet thus far. I'm always curious which games start with a bang, like clear tactics.
I mean, if you're going to play queen e8, why not do it with the pawn on e7? I thought the whole point of e6 was to play queen e7. So this is fascinating that he prefers queen e8. Maybe he wants to play knight h5, f5, and then he wants that queen to keep an eye on that piece. So I'm wondering what's going on. Anyway, this is preemptive withdrawal.
This just feels like
once again
it goes against
not
the
going to
rules.
e7 at the knight. Then why isn't the queen not coming to e7? I'm fascinated why it's queen e8.
Does he want a4? But he can't get it all to work, can he?
White is going to play c5 at some point because after cd, knight d2, c4 is a very attractive thing, especially the b5 square is soft.
Yeah, queenside initiative clearly for white.
Okay, I could play b4 here if I wanted, but then because of the pin, but black will move his bishop to f5 or something, and then off we go.
All right. Well, Tanya, any other games a little spicier? Because this one is not a single pawn traded just yet.
Well, they're all getting started right now, and we've got a similar narrative in all of them. But I think we should head to Grischuk against Gukesh. Yesterday, Grischuk did win against Gukesh. He starts with white this one. And once again, a slow start. We can expect things to get fun soon.
Yes, this is quite significant. He's put the knight on e5 and gotten an f4. Black has the two bishops, so there is some latent possibility there. But I would guess white is better here.
What are the plans here for white to try to build any initiative on the king side? Are you also looking at a potential rook lift at some point?
Rook lift or queen f2, h3, g4 maybe? Or h3, g4, queen g2 if you like.
Oh, that'll be
So
fun.
that would be... I mean, once you've clamped down on e5, that kind of suggests itself.
What's black's plan, I guess, is my question. Because this is, now I see it's very clear. What does black do to possibly stop this?
I think black is going to wait for white to make some mistake. And, because black doesn't have f6 anymore. That's a big problem for black because he's already weakened. Yeah, so c5. And now after cd, ed, maybe bishop b8, a7 or something. Which again, white is insured against.
Doesn't this feel like a nightmare for black, especially in Blitz? All of white's moves, you just play. You know the exact
Yes.
plan, and every single turn black has to spend at least several seconds coming up with an idea.
I agree.
The clock reflects that.
And he just moved bishop e6.
That's the thing. For black, he has this move available because white does not want to play f5. So he's willing to provoke it. And maybe some queen e7, rook c8.
Okay, rook c8. You have to make use of the open c, but the pawns are coming so quickly.
Yeah, white is proceeding with all three moves. Queen f2, h3, g5. So.
I just see no weak spots in white's position, at least for now.
But
so.
after g5, maybe black will just toss the pawn with knight e4, and after exchanging something, we have to see.
We see the players. Grischuk, he's...
Oh, sorry. In fact,
hovering.
white is not threatening g5 because I take and I play bishop takes e5. And
Right.
d5 is a very bad pawn structure. So
Need to time
white will
it
still
well.
need to prepare it a bit. Queen g3, rook f2, something like that.
But look at Gukesh. He spends a bunch of time and has to make a move like rook f8.
Yeah, how do you explain that move?
He's just preemptively defending f7, but in Blitz it's so uncomfortable to play these positions for black. At least that's how I feel, and I think Gukesh's time management suggests as much.
What do you think? Maybe king h1, no? And then try to rook g1 and g5.
Yeah, you want to get g5 in.
Oh,
Like,
you,
I'm in every move of Grischuk.
Yeah, I think
How are you doing this?
you and Sasha speak the same chess language here, right? It's just
Obviously.
rook g1. The thing is, again, what is black's plan? You take on d4. Is there a bishop takes a3 that he's going for? That pawn seems quite irrelevant.
But when you play bishop takes a3,
Rook g1.
and then g5, rook takes g5, and I'm threatening rook g7, rook g1. So I want to take with the rook. He just said, take the pawn.
I think this makes perfect sense because we might see a mass liquidation center.
Yeah.
Pawn takes, maybe bishop e5 and bishop d5. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
Black is-
d5, bishop d5, and he's hoping that with major pieces, the attack is stopped a bit. Yeah.
Still an extra pawn. And bishop d5. Is it the weak white king that gives black compensation here?
Gives black hope.
Hope. So
Bishop d5, I'll go queen f3, bishop e4, queen e4, and leave the queen on e4.
You're just calling out the whole game before it happens. You don't know what to analyze.
Yeah, this is scripted, right? No, this looks really pleasant.
Or I could go king h2, bishop e4, rook e4, and then bring the other rook to e1 and bring them both to e2. Something like, I mean, put one
And
rook on e2.
at
but
some point, of course, f5,
Yeah.
e6, or even
Yes.
f6. You still have to watch out for your king. So this looks very
but
nice.
I like
for
queen
Grischuk.
f3 more. Maybe even queen d4.
Ooh, just centralize.
Yeah. Black has a cheapo with queen h4, I suddenly saw. So,
Built for checkmate.
yeah, so queen f3 maybe.
Looks perfect. While this game looks like it's in Grischuk's favor, he
Oh,
was
even
queen
more
g2.
subtle. Beautiful. Yeah, so he took with the queen.
What's happening with Prague's game? Should we?
Yeah.
Let's head over to that. Lot of pieces, lot of minor pieces on the board in that one. And
Sorry, let's just g5 has just happened. Let's
Oh.
just spend 1 second here before
let's
we
do it.
move on.
Good eye by you.
Head g5, rook g5, and you already can't take on b2 because I go rook dg1. What can black defend? Head g5, rook c6, but then I double and I play
queen.
f5. Oh, he just trades queens. That makes sense.
I mean,
That is true.
he always finds the correct moment to trade, to give away a pawn, trade pieces, and this rook end game where
Let
two
me play
rook-
f5, yeah?
Just go for it.
Yes.
Trade and check.
Okay, he's done this, and now if g6, he'll go f5. And if king g7, he can go e6.
And just
And,
shadow the pawns.
Yes.
And then king.
I would say
King
Gukesh's
F6?
chance of saving this game is not ridiculously low, because after all there are very few pawns left. Even after fg6, you'll have 2 loose pawns, h3.
The clock
at
though
the
is,
speed,
is
yeah.
what worries. If he's really down to 5 seconds, he's got to find.
I mean,
a
if you're
move.
behind Grischuk on the clock in
Oh.
Blitz, then it's tough.
Here it comes. E6.
But yeah, fe6, and now fg6, king g7, it's solidly blocked.
Can you go rook h?
Can I
Rook
take
g6,
rook?
then ef5.
And then I don't have anything there.
And
Yeah,
you
of
will go
course.
rook h5, of course. He'll go rook h5, yeah.
But rook h8. I feel like
Yeah, take.
I'll have-
h4 and rook g5 and h5. And
h4, maybe rook c4, no?
yeah, I'll have to start with rook g5 and then maybe h4, h5. Yeah, rook g5 is nice because I'm even attacking a pawn for free.
the pawn a5 went there so long ago.
Oh, king
Let's
h2,
do-
now we'll go h4.
Let's get a closer look at our players, as we didn't realize, but
Yeah, rook
Gukesh is
c5
5
is nice.
seconds.
Yeah, rook c5 is nice. And maybe Grischuk has spoiled it. I think allowing the queen exchange that easily might not have been
I
good.
just caught at the corner of my eye that the advantage for Vincent Keimer was very high, and suddenly it dropped in Praggnanandhaa's favor. So if Grischuk does not win this game, that's very good news for Pragg, who looks that even bar swinging up and down in that game. So maybe we should go. I don't know. Wait, is that there's no way he lost in
Isn't
time?
it
No, he's
over?
got
Yeah, it's
2
no, he
seconds.
just Pragg just beat him. He
Winston-
won a piece.
What's happening in this end game? Wait,
Pragg has won his game.
Wait, b4.
but suddenly Grischuk is well on his way to winning this game. So
yeah, b4 and it's he's run out of moves.
yeah, the
Oh,
white
yeah,
king
king.
gets there too fast.
Okay, so king takes, king d4, king f4, king b5 is not in time. Yeah, it's much too slow.
And it's happening, and that's it. It's game over. Grischuk wins the second battle against Gukesh in the Blitz. And we've had 4 decisive games. There's one more. Vidit still fighting. He's down 2 pawns, though.
Yeah, this doesn't look very fun for.
Did you see that? It's a very cute thing. He went rook. Well, it's gone happening too fast.
And let's get...
He went rook d3 and rook e2, king f3 forks the knight and rook. That's all I wanted to point out.
We'll definitely show that after the game. But right now, Vidit's doing a great job.
Yeah,
getting
he's
in
actually
there.
winning the pawn back.
And but why does to watch out for this check over here in addition to the
No,
A3 pawn?
this will lose because king e3. Because the knight is attacking this and
It
the...
has been played.
No, king e3, rook c2. So king e4 he might
Wait,
have missed.
He just
He
won his
just
rook.
missed,
Do you
he
see
missed
his
his rook.
face?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
my
Vidit is
God.
just not having a good day of blitz at all. He hung his rook to show everybody that instant
I think
replay.
MVL has actually caught up with it.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
He's caught up with 6 points, but in this position, he just needed to move his rook to the side first. Knight d4 is a threat. Rook takes a3 is also a threat, but he made the move, the clear idea, one move too soon, because now the king attacks the knight, the knight
Yeah.
attacks the rook. You can't. defend
And the
it.
reason king e4 is if king e3, I'll play rook c2. And if rook c2, knight c2 is a check, and I collect the pawn on a3. It's still 4 versus 3, but it's not 5 versus 3. So
No.
after king e4, it's a 5 versus 3, and that's the difference. Yeah.
Such good recognition by Maxime to bring
Yeah.
the king up, and that wins him
Wow,
the game.
I think quite
Five-
some dramatic results.
Yeah.
Grischuk wins, Pragg wins, so their balance isn't changed.
Let's bring up our standings.
Yes.
Arjun beats Hari again, and that was again, right? He beat him yesterday, I think.
Yeah, Arjun, he's back in
Arjun
5th place now. After
Drew with Hari yesterday.
Yesterday, okay. So, and MVL beats with it.
But it's
And,
clear.
And wow, now it's a 2-point difference between Grischuk and Nodirbek.
Nodirbek.
Nodirbek has really bounced back in this tournament.
Yes.
Started very slowly, but now in clear third. And Pragg and Grischuk, 9 points for Pragg, 8.5 for Grischuk, which at this point I think it's very clear. It's just the two of them vying for first place. But Grischuk is giving Pragg the fight of his life. I mean, every time it seems like Pragg gets a win, is pulling away, Grischuk says, I'm going to do the same.
And Anand, we've had 5 decisive games.
Yeah.
We had to focus on a few. Which one do you want to take a deep dive into? Maybe some of the action that we missed out on?
We didn't really follow Vincent against Pragg.
Yeah,
right?
let's do that.
Let's
It,
check that because
ended
after all,
in-
it was the.
Yeah, the tournament leader who stays the tournament leader.
Yeah, let's. I don't even know. Should we go to the absolute beginning, or where would you? No, let's just go from the start. We have time for it.
Yeah, you can start around move 12 because I think we were somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
this was the Queen E8 game. I already forgot, so much action happening at the same time. And B3. So he didn't get B4 in just yet, but he prepares it. Look at this very close start. And at some point they have to push pawns. Right? When are they going to do it? There.
Yeah.
Black plays E4. So white responds with B4. And in your experience, Vichy, do you prefer these types of positions from the white side or black?
Here, I think because black has played knight a4 and black has played e4, I think he's probably okay.
And
I mean, King's Indian, if I had my white pawn on e4, that's a very different kind of King's Indian and so on. Even there, the bishop on not ideal on h2, should be on e3, but it's London which became a King's Indian, which became a...
yeah, there's rook a7, so a classy move to just develop your rook to start a doubling on the a file. Couldn't even get those words out of my mouth, sounded so odd, but there it is, rook to a8. So now it's clear that black...
Pragg is actually given a bishop, but what he's saying is he's going to go knight d7, bishop e5, exchange those, and the remaining minor piece is favorable favorable black.
That bishop
At least that's what I think he's saying. So
he goes
rook a2, and he dominates the thing, so...
knight d7, so you're exactly as you called for.
And bishop e5, is that it? Yeah. And...
So
wait, now some take, and you have to be ready to swing... No, where you can't double on the last rank that easily. My bishop on b5 is covering f1. Maybe rook 8 a2.
That's exactly what happened. Oh, which apparently was...
Queen rook b2. Oh, so then I should start with queen f6. Rook takes, I think, rook a2.
Oh, because...
But then, even then, rook takes d7.
Just to point out that bishop takes is your point, and queen f1. The bishop
that's not over because g4, so...
How do you finish it after g4?
I just kind of assumed something was here. Can I
mean, you can go queen g1 check, king g3, rook f1, and play rook f3 check next.
Oh.
And
that's nice. And then
g5 rook f3 is a mating net.
And
This
then
poor king.
live on a prayer.
That's really nice. But queen f6 was clearly important to stop this rook b2.
Yeah. How did he manage to win? Oh, he took and went queen e5, and that way he escaped. Okay, he went queen f6 instead.
Wait, but so it went from huge advantage for white.
Oh, rook c3 wins.
what?
That is beautiful.
A retreating move with 10 seconds on your clock to put your rook into a pin, but now this rook on a1 is loose and the knight. That is an unbelievable tactic.
So
Yeah.
wait, queen f1, you give a check on...
There's a bishop.
no.
Oh god, yeah.
But that would be, of course, the idea. So this is...
But let's say I go rook d1,
But I think...
bishop d7. Oh, queen f1, rook c8 check might
Now
mate
there's
you
no
first.
knight f8.
So yeah, so that doesn't work.
Wow, that is...
So it was a fun game. I mean, Pragg won it
How
on
did-
reflex, but
How did he win this position?
because he took on d5, took on e3, and then it's actually winning for black.
He just...
G4 and then just check in the e3.
But apparently bishop takes g6
Oh,
is...
black has nothing better. After d5, bishop takes g6 to d5.
King g7 is better because you can't take on e4.
Then you're in range of this. Maybe we can just show that.
Yeah, just the
King
take,
f6.
knight check.
Knight
The king has to
g3.
step in.
And the discovery, knight takes g3 check, wins the bishop. Okay.
Really nice.
Pawn
Chess
defend
is hard.
Well, this kind of accuracy when you're down to when you're under a minute, what can you do? You just hope.
What a game, though.
What a game. What a fight back from Pragg in that one. We saw him winning this one. Do you want to have a quick look? We've still got a couple of minutes before liftoff. Hari lost to Arjun. So Arjun getting into the mix in the standings. And it looks like an interesting last position.
Yeah, the final position is several extra pawns for black. So
And one is queening.
one of them is queening. It's all you need. But it seems if we just hop into the middle of the game somewhere, that white was in this endgame, where black is just more active.
My God, he actually played. A while ago, I looked at this ending.
Yeah.
Could we go back another 5 moves or something?
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought this is a draw, and I stopped looking. But full marks to him for playing on and squeezing
I guess
a
when
win out of this.
you have more space, he just starts pushing his...
That queen is better than white's queen, and you can try, but it should be a draw.
Also, these pawns are
Yeah.
maybe not on the right third rank here. It's a little...
Yes,
makes the
I
king
think-
quite exposed.
For instance, white is never able to take on a5 because black starts taking everything with check.
And he brings his king to the center and e4. So Arjun, he created problems. The white king escaped. Oh, and now there's...
But
a
wait,
big
this
threat.
is this not a draw? Oh, because the king is going to g6.
He went with the wrong... He should have taken
He could
the
have
pawn.
taken.
But he probably thought this king escapes and he was worried about this.
Why doesn't this work after queen b7? Well, I
You steal
understand
a
the extra
pawn.
pawn. So apparently queen d7, queen f3 check. King h2.
No, but now it's starting to see that black
Right.
is...
It actually says black is.
Maybe queen f2, you pick up another pawn with a check.
Yes,
Oh.
king h1, queen h4, king g2, queen g5. And maybe in the other line, b3 would be a source of counterplay.
Yeah,
So
so you
that
have
could
that.
be the point, yeah.
So the pawn a7 survives in this. In the
Yeah,
other line.
so all this little detail. Take
he-
a pawn when you can.
He
But it's much more tempting to go to b7 because you think you can take on d5, which might be you think might be a more valuable pawn, right?
But this is what happened. He lost
Yeah.
h4 and g4, and then e3. So he lost
E3.
all of his pawns, and Arjun wins the game. But as you said, it looked equal. But Arjun, he saw that he had a chance because of his activity. He earned that full point.
Yep.
He earned that full point, and meanwhile, Pragg has got a half-point lead still. Let's take a look at our matchups that are coming up. In just 2 minutes from now, we will have the players ready to go for round 13. And Pragg...
Pragg is playing the third place.
Yes, this is a nice fight.
The surging Abdusattoro against... Well, Pragg is doing some surging himself, so...
2.5 out of 3 today. Good
They're both
start.
2.5 out of 3, right?
Yes.
Yes, both of
Yes.
them.
And
Grischuk as
yesterday-
well, probably.
Yeah, Grischuk he's keeping pace. He started a half point behind, remains a half point behind. So he also has 2.5 points. And he gets black against Arjun, who we just saw won that game against Hari.
While Grischuk and Arjun drew yesterday, Pragg beat Nodirbek. So a bit of a grudge match there for Nodirbek.
And Gukesh plays Vidit. Vincent plays Maxime. So,
And
but Maxime is well back in the field now. 6 out of 6 or 7?
6 out of 6 points.
6 points, yeah.
It's been a difficult day for Vidit, this one.
No, he was 6 before that. He should be... Let's just see his
Yeah,
score.
can we go back to the standings, please?
Sorry.
Let's bring up our standings on the screen, and also let's go to our live feed from the playing hall.
Yes.
Just a minute.
Yeah, if they're starting, we want to...
Really quickly, these are the
Oh,
standings.
Maxime is 6, yeah. Sorry.
So for Nodirbek, it's actually really important to get a point in this one to stay in the mix for
Yeah.
the top spot, to try and fight all the 2.5
Probably, but
points.
I think anywhere in the next 6 rounds is fine as well. I mean, he can lose the half-point lead, get it back. There's still,
Yeah.
I mean, the half-point doesn't mean that much, I think.
Yeah, I think it's about trying to get that winning streak, just getting 2 wins in a row. That can see some leapfrogging there. But let's go into our playing venue, and the players are ready.
They're getting set there. And I think the good news for Pragg, because Grischuk is on fire as well, that Nodirbek probably wants to win. So that will give them a true fight. And Nodirbek always gives a fight. But for Pragg, the form that he's been in, he's not unstoppable. He lost 2 games yesterday. But if he's playing someone else who also wants that true clash, it gives him great winning chances, which he clearly needs because Grischuk is not stopping.
We're off. Pragg against Nodirbek, okay.
Is he going to go for the Italian again?
Timur is going for Queen's Gambit. Arjun just won't stop with this knight c3 bishop f4. What is it? Is it Jobava?
Jobava London.
Well, Jobava after you play knight b5, right? Or is it Jobava anyway?
I think just the base of it is the Jabava
Jobava,
London.
yeah.
Anand, have you worked with the Indian youngsters on openings?
Yes, I have at least spoken to them about this, and yeah, I've done some work with them. on openings. But
Can you speak to Nodirbek, because he did the Hari? He went knight a5, the bishop retreated, and they went back to c6.
I mean, we've been making a lot of jokes about this, but I think I think knight a5 and back to c6 might actually be well known the way they're all playing it. At least before we make any more jokes, we should check that it's
Yeah,
not.
no, I mean, the eval bar justifies it, and
Yeah.
we see that black is just quickly going to use the king side, the double pawns in the center.
I see the point. If you go bishop e6,
Yeah.
I'm not obliged to take, and if you take on c4, I capture and I have
The
this bind with c4 and e4. And if I go bishop e6 and then play knight a5, you can take on e6 and my knight will be standing there. So they go knight a5, c6 and then play bishop e6 is what I understand.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But
You've done a great job explaining to us various ideas. We had that Grischuk game where he threw in the rook b1. So, yeah, these games are about the nuances.
Yeah.
But, Tanya, this game looks closed, no pawn tension. Any games with a little bit more heat?
let's do Arjun Grischuk.
Yes, you
That
said
is
it.
becoming, because when g4 happens, it'll be too late to start following the game then. We got to do it now.
And that was a knight
Yeah,
capture.
that's what I'm... So d5, I guess knight d7 he's saying. But then I'm just a pawn up, no? Bishop d7 and knight d5.
Is Arjun not captured yet? So I guess he's...
Oh, he's not sure.
He's
Okay.
deciding. What you think he'll go with?
I would think d5, but unless I'm missing something.
And what's happening with this pawn? Yeah, this pawn.
Yeah, so you can go knight d7, whereupon e5 is hanging, but I could take on d7.
Oh, he goes for queen takes
Queen
d5.
d5, okay. But then knight takes e5 is possible.
But
Oh no,
maybe
I will play
E7,
bishop
yeah.
b5 and the knight hits on e7. So
Just to
what?
quickly show.
Ah,
No,
okay.
I'm just showing
Yeah,
that you have to take on d5. The knight takes back. There's a knight takes e7 with check, and this bishop is hanging.
So did Grischuk just blunder this? Or, oh, maybe queen b6 or something.
That's a Grischuk style move.
Yes.
Ooh, and bishop d7, b2 is hanging.
b2, rook to d8 at some moment. So,
You might have to go long castle for queen b6.
oh, but then we have fun.
Yeah.
Right? If black's castle kingside, white's castle queenside. Exactly the type of game that Grischuk needs.
Yes.
He needs to keep pace with Pragg, and he hasn't lost yet. I can't believe I'm saying that in Blitz chess.
Also, the amount of times Arjun has played this opening is so high that Grischuk didn't just wander into this position.
Then
He thinks because he's Grischuk, but he didn't just wander into this position.
okay, you preempted my question. You knew where I was going with.
No, I knew exactly where you were going. So.
But he's down to about a
I
minute.
don't know if I'm explaining the contradiction in Grischuk's approach or the contradiction in my commentary, but anyway, we got that out of the way.
But he's down to a minute left, and
Yeah, I'm now not sure what is
Yes,
going on.
Under a minute.
My confident explanation might not hold water. But anyway.
Got to make a decision quickly.
I think Pragg
He's
must
just
be much
getting
better. No,
started.
Pragg is much better.
okay. So
Should we just see what he decides to
Ah.
play?
Yes,
he does
it is
go
queen
for
b6.
it.
Oh, no, it's
no,
knight b6.
Knight b6.
which also the engine approves of because the c2 pawn is
okay.
loose after the queen trade. So
He's
he's
gone
just
queen d8, rook d8, and yes, it's fine. Okay.
e5 and c2 are both loose. So why don't we go to that Pragg game, because it sounds like Praggnanandhaa in good shape against Abdusattoro.
Oh no, I might have jumped the gun in evaluation. I thought that this was seriously better for white, but now I see that maybe I can just go rook f7 and then. Oh no, rook f7, knight e5 wins.
Oh,
That's a
And
nice
if
one.
bishop f6, e5 might be very strong. So in fact, yes, he is in trouble.
so I guess in fact you were correct. Is
Yes.
what your initial.
No, because I suddenly saw knight b7, c5, and I thought if black can do that, he must be great. But the problem is he does not. Wait one more second. Rook f7. Hang on. Rook f7.
Yeah.
Knight e5.
Yeah.
Bishop f6.
Oh.
And it might actually. And now rook takes d7, and I've got knight b7 somewhere. So
Wow.
c5, a5, whatever.
Okay.
And so.
He went knight f6 instead.
Okay. So
And
much for
queen
that.
c4. No, but that's a brilliant idea. So is there no time for this knight jump? Because e5 is
No,
gonna
e5 I have. No, d5, d5, queen c6 wins that knight on b7. He's got knight b7?
Yes,
No.
Yes. knight
So
b7.
e5, and then he'll play knight d5, of course. Yeah, that's fine.
But it feels like black's position is fragile, but it's still
Yes.
everything together.
There's still, I mean, if the one knight is on d5, the other is on c5, even if I have a pawn on e6, I might be able to cope.
So many like attractive ideas. Knight f5 looks appealing. E5 looks
Also,
appealing.
rook a d1 with the idea knight e5, maybe.
Is there this knight c? The a4 pawn is loose in some position. You might jettison.
Okay, hang on. So rook a d1,
Okay.
knight c5, a5, ba5, and then knight e5, knight c6 or something.
Yeah.
Must be, or knight e5, knight g6.
He goes bishop b4, so he's so worried about knight c5
Ah.
that he wants to take it. And both players have about a minute left, and Pragg, he's leaning over the board here. He wants that win. So
Can I go d5, ed5?
oh, he goes for it.
Did it happen? Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
d5's on the board.
ed5 and now either queen takes d5 is possible, because if you win the pawn, I'll put the knights on c5 and d5, maybe I have compensation, or ed5 bishop takes b4, and I think it works out. ed5 bishop b4, d e6,
Okay.
queen e7,
Knight.
f5,
We've
queen
got this on the board, by the way.
c5.
So this
Yeah, I
is the
thought-
live
yes.
position.
Yeah,
He just takes back on d5,
Ah.
hitting the queen.
that's simpler. And then he's going to take a knight c5.
But black suddenly looks to have a very nice stability. We see the players there.
But the problem is, if I play knight c5, you might have
What?
a5, knight e3,
93.
so that's one more move. So knight e5. And where am I going?
Ooh,
But the queen doesn't have a square because of knight f5.
Uh-oh. So,
So this is very good for white.
yes, all of a sudden, queen c8, knight g6 to e7
E7.
is going to be a problem. So Nodirbek is on the clock, and
Oh, he's staring at him.
he went queen c8.
So knight g6 was not working?
I thought it was for sure, but it
Oh,
was
knight g6, knight d3 maybe, and he was just compensating for the two.
It is
But then I
getting-
go queen d4.
Is this
Exactly.
getting messy now with the black knight jumping in?
It certainly is.
It's getting messy, but for black. I think for a6 must be winning.
Oh,
A6 is just, I mean, after that you can have the exchange.
Queen f5.
As Yasser would say, take my
He
exchange.
gives a check.
I think this
first.
f2 pawn being loose, though, that's the one concern, because if this queen gets to f5 at the right moment, you could have some difficulties defending down there. So Nodirbek is using the f file to his advantage, but now Pragg down to about 10 seconds. Knight g4. He preemptively
Wants to
defends.
put it on knight e3, taking control
he have
of
played
that
rook e4?
f5 square.
Ah no, queen f5. Sorry.
And your move, so no more knight e3. h5 could be a threat.
Okay, but if you have to trade on b6, you've lost a lot of
Now,
your winning
yeah,
chances.
now Nodirbek is out of danger.
And just 5 seconds for Pragg right now.
And by the way, Arjun Erigaisi has a sky-high advantage against Alexander Grischuk, so we'll keep an outside eye on that. But this one looks a little bit more tactical. Knight f4 coming in this one too.
This is getting risky now for Pragg.
Pragg's down to his final seconds.
Yeah. And Nodirbek's got a lot of time on the clock comparatively.
Yeah, no, this is getting bad for White. I think he just feels uncomfortable.
Wait, what did... Oh, there's a... Sorry, no. Yeah, Arjun has beaten Grischuk.
Oh, what's happening here? A fork of rook and queen, but you can slide something back to f7. Name of the queen back here. There's a pin on this knight.
Yes.
Black's having all the fun right now.
Does it?
Queen b...
Oh, he's using the pin. But no,
E4?
knight g6. And it's
Oh my
no,
God.
queen takes e4. Because if knight e7 g4.
Oh, he missed it. He went queen takes b6, and that means Nodirbek is up a piece.
He's now winning it. Yeah, knight f4 and it's probably
But there's
resigned.
one chance for White, is if you can get this e4 pawn, because rook, knight, and 2 against rook and 3 on the same side.
Yeah, but now queen b1 takes and probably this is winning. Very hard to win, but
Yeah,
it's winning.
this is going to be another 100 moves.
But he could have played queen e4 because if knight e7 I have g4. So I'm
Yes.
escaping actually.
He missed one tactical opportunity, but this doesn't actually feel very easy to win for Black.
Queen e5 check. Then that way I force g3.
Oh, he
Oh,
won
now
the
he
f2
wins
pawn.
the f2
Now it
pawn.
looks.
Oh, okay.
Now it looks.
Oh, he's just
Oh.
in the house, yeah.
Swaps the queens off, and this for sure is a win for Black. He's claiming.
Yes.
This one's a win for Black. Meanwhile, Arjun is still trying to convert his game against Alexander
Yeah, but
Grischuk.
it's
Wait.
over,
Yeah.
basically.
But in this game, is it actually completely over? Because I feel like somehow Nodirbek's gone a little bit in the backwards. So I'm curious about this end game.
How do you convert?
But the king is coming around.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't trade off the pawns, and this is a
H4,
knight and
king
not a
d4,
bishop.
yeah.
If you could turn that into a bishop, oh, you still don't have chances. It's the
Yeah.
right color. So yeah, this is just a win in the making for Nodirbek.
While you're changing the bishop, just slide it over one
Yeah.
square. And but king d4 here is winning.
I
And
think
Pragg hasn't been flagged, so he does
What?
continue.
Okay.
So takes king f4.
No, king e6 and now knight... king f6 wins as well.
right, the king will.
Because, yeah, and then he goes king h6 and then it's over.
And then the knight starts moving around and Pragg shaking
Pragg shakes
his
his head and yeah, I think
he knows
we got an evaluation there.
But even though the thing about Blitz is you also can't.
Arjun
look,
has won,
look
so
at
in
other
fact
games.
Pragg remains on top. Except
he's-
Nodirbek is now closer, 1
yeah.
point
He's,
closer.
Nodirbek joins Grischuk,
No.
right? He's still...
He is still behind Grischuk. Pragg is shaking his head vigorously.
Yeah.
He knows he was better at some point, but
Yeah, but a win for Nodirbek, and as we're
and
saying,
Gukesh beats Vidit.
Gukesh beats Vidit.
Yeah,
Oh.
So Vidit
that was
lost
the other
all
thing,
of his
and
games
Pragg
today.
lost 2. So 3 decisive rounds. Games, sorry.
7.5 for Nodirbek, 9 points for Pragg. So Pragg still has got a point lead in the tournament, and Grischuk
No, he's got a half point lead over Grischuk.
Yes,
And
yes.
Grisch-
Grischuk has a
yes.
point over Nodirbek.
over Nodirbek.
Yeah.
Let's bring up our standings going into the next round. Nodirbek making a big comeback today after his day 1 performance.
I'm not surprised because
3.5 out of 4.
he's such a fighter. And yesterday was a down day for him. But look at the standings. Praggnanandhaa just lost to Abdusattoro. So Abdusattoro has climbed the rankings to 3rd place, and he's inching closer. And also Arjun Erigaisi at 7. He has an outside shot to catch up to
Yeah.
Pragg.
Actually, 3 to 7 is a really close pack. With so many games remaining, again, there's everything to fight for these players. But Pragg right now looks like he's still running away with it.
Taimur is still having a terrible tournament. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a blitz monster, but
Yeah.
it's just not working out for him. Today he's not managed very much.
Yesterday was also very difficult for
Yeah.
him. And Anna, do you want to take a closer look at perhaps some game that we missed out on? Should we take
Let's
a
see
look
what
at
happened.
Gukesh?
Oh,
okay,
I
yes.
thought Grischuk.
Sure, we
didn't
can
realize
start with that.
When we left, it was supposedly compensation, and then next thing you know, it was worse, right?
So let's go back in this one. Where shall we tune into? I think just any. Oh no, it's already so late.
But this is a pawn down. So go back up a bit more.
Okay.
Knight b6, he went.
Knight b6 on. Oh, that was way
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
I'm already.
But we left it somewhere there. So
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so rook c1, rook
This is
c8.
great composition, right? Knight c4. Oh, he went for c4. Could he have gone knight d5?
Oh, look at this. This is a very funny configuration of pieces. So you're saying
But still, black has excellent composition here. a6, right? Rook d1, take.
excellent compensation for sure. All of these moves look good from Grischuk, but at some point,
It goes wrong, yeah.
and even here, down a pawn, but still with
Excellent
plenty of
compensation.
compensation. But it's getting
Yeah.
a little easier
Then,
for
yeah.
white to play. So c3 and a5. And this all looks.
Okay. And now take, and king e3 happened.
So you think the bishop trade was?
He should have. He would have had to take on f3 and then play b4, and hope.
But he played
That
b4 first,
And then rook
Oh,
d4. And
what
this
a
was the
move.
move. Yeah, and this was the tactic he missed.
So this one allowing rook to d4 just.
Lost the game.
So you
plan,
first take the pawn on f3, force the king to f3, and there's no more rook d4 after
Yes.
b4.
Or even instead of b4, you can play. Can you play f4 or rook d4? You run it the same rook d4. So b4 might be easier. Or you play a4, a3, and then you play f4, and then try to have that weakness on h4.
Just
something like
to show everybody that
that. Maybe rook takes
rook
b4.
takes, but white is up a pawn. But with black's activity, it's very hard to make any
Yeah,
progress.
so that would have.
So,
Very nice.
oh, that's a nice find by Arjun,
Yeah.
offering the rook trade and then playing c takes. He steals another pawn, and then he continues with his marching the pawns and another just
He could have played
strong move.
f2 instead of rook c2. Oh, and then rook f4.
Rook f4.
Yeah, rook f4, and it's lost anyway.
So Arjun, he's just finding those precise
Yeah,
moments.
rook d4 was super
And
nice
he must
by
be
him.
big plus score today, right, Arjun?
Today, yes, and he's
Some-
at 7 points now. So he's had
It's
himself
what,
a
round
great day.
13? So 4
Yes.
games today so far. And
Mhm.
yeah, he's doing well.
He's doing well, and he's up to
Fourth.
on the rankings fourth. Yeah, so he's definitely in good shape today.
And Gukesh and Maxime are
And should we just?
in lockstep behind, just half point behind both of them.
Yeah, I think
so
this whole middle group is very tight. It's just a half point
Yeah.
difference, and they can really.
the biggest gap is between 3 and 2, so
Yeah.
everything else is a half point. So
Until the
all
end.
the way down,
And the,
except So
but-
the biggest gap is only between Sasha and
But-
Pragg.
Gukesh has made Vidit's nightmare day continue. I mean, just he checkmated him. You have to give up your queen,
Mhm.
stop it. But let's maybe take a look earlier in this game. Seems like there are many mistakes, as is typical for Blitz. But right around here, it seems that White has a very pleasant-looking position because of the pawn structure, and he trades to avoid the knight jumping around. It just feels like White just has all the fun.
Yeah.
So quiet moves. He just blundered on h5.
Oh, queen h5, rook e8.
Oh, so you have to go back to f7 maybe,
Go back to f7 to defend.
Oh, that's a one more
and then
blunder.
how do I?
The eval bar says just small advantage for
Yeah.
white.
Yes.
I mean,
This
it's a fight.
this just ends on the spot because
Yeah.
rook e8 check. You have to give up your queen, everybody, and then the queen takes back, and that's just
I mean,
game.
Grischuk, Vidit has come up with some pretty big blunders. Previous game at MVL, so that's. He's playing at a very high level, but some gross blunders out there. He just forgot his rook.
Yeah,
Then he forgot queen h5. So
he's
like he's missing some squares or something, when he's.
and I wonder if it's the previous results, right? You lose a game, you start to doubt yourself.
I think his
Go on
mode is
tilt,
also probably.
yeah. And it doesn't get easier for him. He plays Arjun in the next round, who's been winning his games today. And some big matchups. Let's take a look at our pairings for round 14. So we've got how many rounds left, Robert? 5 rounds to go.
5 rounds to go, which means that the first spot is up for grabs. And we have to look first at Hari against Praggnanandhaa. Hari is in the middle of the pack, doing much better in the Blitz than the Rapid. And Grischuk gets to play Radjabov. So for Grischuk, it's going to be an opportunity to continue climbing as he gets the white pieces against a struggling Radjabov.
If I don't come in 5, I guess I can't come in 5 now.
So
I'll come
yeah,
in 6.
Grischuk, he's got a good opportunity with the white pieces against Radjabov. So we'll see how that one goes. But Tanya, we know every single round, every single game, these are fierce, worthy competitors, and the ratings are all quite similar to one another. So while some people have struggled indeed, they have a chance to score a point at any moment.
And this is what we were talking about at the start of the day, right? That it just depends on the momentum the players pick up. For Vidit, he was on top of the leaderboard, but it's been a disaster of a day. Praggnanandhaa keeps that going. He still got that lead. The last round, he's got to be careful. He just lost his first round of the day, and he has to make sure that he stops the bleeding quick. Because Grischuk and Nodirbek are racing towards him. So he has to be careful. Vachier, unfortunately, had to leave us suddenly. He was called for another important meeting, but hopefully he will be back, Robert, for more insights. But I think moments from now, we will have round 14 action. So let's go live to our playing venue as the players are about to walk in. You're good friends with Vidit. If right now you had to tell him something, what would it be, Robert?
I don't have the words because Vidit, he really has struggled mightily today, losing all of his games. And it actually started yesterday. He lost the 9th and final game of Blitz on the first day. So he's actually lost 5 games in a row when you think about it. And it's been an absolute nightmare.
And in Blitz, it's so easy to go into a tilt mindset. For Vidit, because he did score big yesterday, if he can get those wins going, he still might be in the mix for a good finish. But of course, it has been a difficult day for him. And we've also got a big matchup between Praggnanandhaa and Harikrishna, the all-Indian clash, youth versus experience. Hari having a better tournament than he did in the Rapid. Pragg with the black pieces. How do you think he's going to approach this one?
I think he's going to approach like he has every game. Pragg is mature. He's not just playing for a win for move 1. He's playing his openings that he feels comfortable in, but he's also been switching them up. So for Pragg, I think just don't fix what's not broken. But I think the problem now becomes you're looking at Grischuk's game, but also Nodirbek. Suddenly it's not just a 2-player race, a third player has joined.
He's just sneaked up on the rankings with this day of chess, and Vishy is back just in time.
They have not started yet. They didn't want you to miss a single move. So we will thankfully be joined once again by Vishy here. And the games are about to begin in a minute, so maybe we can go to the playing hall. There it is. Thank you, Producer G. And we see the players.
Nice.
And they're sitting down and shaking
Robert
hands.
is going to move to India next year.
He's all ready for the big move.
So,
What's been your favorite dish here, Robert?
Oh, so I mean, the thali we had the other day
The
was
thali?
was really good. So I've been enjoying the food. I've been enjoying the atmosphere, and I've been definitely enjoying the chess. So that's all around. It's been great.
We've got a lot of chess coming up as 5 rounds remain, and 5 tense rounds as the battles at the top are heating up. Pragg versus Hari. This one's going to be a marquee matchup for us that we will focus on in the beginning. Hari starts with the queen's pawn opening.
And c3, a quiet game.
no, it can explode. C5, dc5, e6, bishop e3, all the stuff starts. So anything which starts quietly becomes theoretical within 6 months.
Yeah, it's true.
And
we do see he hesitated for a moment there. He probably didn't want to give up the c5 pawn, so he plays e6 first, and now he can play c5 if he'd like. But Hari develops the bishop out, and I think that for
will he take on f6 and go knight b2? Well, there you go.
The question has been answered. You understand the players super well, and he's trying to get control of the center. And okay, black can't be unhappy, but you have to come up with a plan.
Sure. Well, black can try c5, e4, knight c6 or something. So
the queen d8.
Oh, he's gone d8, queen d8, and then bishop e7. Yeah, that's a very natural development.
Though it looks like black hasn't moved and white's had a bunch of free turns, but what did you get out of it? There's no weaknesses in black's camp.
So white's going to go e5, queen e2, and then maybe h4, g4. If black castles kingside, black goes queenside.
He
doesn't do it yet. So black could still go long, and then white has no easy attacking idea.
Okay, so kind of a French defense in this game all of a sudden. But Tanya, any more games that are catching your eye?
Should we go over to Nodirbek versus Vincent? I see a g5 on the board, and I have to take you right into the action.
Let's go. So Tanya, what's happened thus far in the game?
Let's take it from the top.
Okay, we'll just quickly go. It's only
and the
10.
players have taken about 30 seconds already.
Yeah, but this g5 push is one that excites all the fans. Queen b6 hitting b2, so the queen slides out. Oops, sorry, I skipped a couple moves. But g5, and the knight jumps out to e4. So in your experience, Vichy, when you see this position, a bishop pair for black, but the black king seems that's going to have a harder time getting safe. Do you prefer this from the white or black side?
At the moment, it doesn't tell me much. If black plays g4, then white potentially has the f4 square, so he can reroute his knight f4. Otherwise, white's plan could be g4, knight f1, g3, h5. But h6, g5 is reasonably solid. It depends on the specific moves which happen afterwards. I can't judge this yet. For the moment, I think nothing much is happening. Black could still also castle long, so we're very far from a decision.
And white might be waiting for black to do that and then attack on that side of the board. I can
Yes.
see a queen c2, and as soon as you castle queenside, then I start throwing my pawns.
But then I would break in the center or break in the center after g4 and, all the usual.
I just want excitement. I want that kind of fighting, combative chess.
I have a Manhattan for you again.
Should we head over to Vidit versus Arjun?
Robert G.
Let's go.
there you have your Manhattan. So,
Well, what is...
knight bishop a6. Doesn't look very Manhattan-y. But anyway.
Some of
But listen, now I could go bishop takes f6,
you,
knight takes f6, knight c4.
oh, nice tactical spot. 'Cause the
Yeah, queen c2, knight f6 check, doubling that.
But how I know it's not
GF6 and
typical
rook.
Manhattan? There's too much real estate on this board. He's got a lot of free space. He's got a good control, so...
Maybe queen d1 is even stronger. But I liked doubling those pawns like that and just claiming that I'm better. But anyway.
Okay, so Vidit trying to end Arjun's run toward the top, but another game catching your eye, Tanya?
Yes, and it is Grischuk.
Hari's going to go for... Sorry, Hari's going to go queen f4, g4.
Oh.
Let's do it. Let's pull up Hari versus Pragg, and that is a big... Oh, he's going to threaten mate very soon. Great call there, Vashi. Queen f4.
How does black defend...
On the board.
The king very easily? It doesn't...
Gotta go bishop f8 at some point.
Queen f8, king
Queen
h8,
f8.
or some ghastly move.
But the issue is you can never get a bishop a6 in. Maybe at some point there could be a knight
rook
b8.
c7, no, queen g4, he's going to go... he can always go bishop f8 afterwards, yeah.
Right. And I guess white has no more firepower. That's the
Correct.
annoying thing. You'd need a...
So I'd play h4. And Grischuk still at the same idea, the very same idea we left him at a while back.
Oh, that was a different game.
Yes, it is a different game, but he's still going for that plan. So.
Now that the mating attack on this has been taken care of with that bishop, should we jump over to the Grischuk game? Because
Let's do it.
a lot of
Although-
knights jumping around and one of them is hanging. So let's pull up Alexander
Hari is
Grischuk
winning.
versus Radjabov.
Hari is winning. The evaluation bar has gone through the roof.
Against Pragg?
We just had...
Yes.
Oh, we thought that black was doing fine after bishop
Yeah, but
Is it
queen
just
C-
g4, g5, or is it some queen move?
Let's go back.
There's so much messiness in this game too. Just to quickly note, Grischuk has 2 pieces for a rook but an open king. So let's go back to Hari against Pragg, just because the eval bar is through the roof, and I guess it was for a turn.
It's not for a specific move, because he played a3 and the evaluation bar wasn't disturbed, which means that the computer evaluates this as lost.
Wow.
Maybe there's just no defense to g4, g5. Maybe you can just play knight g5, head g5, head g5 even, and just mate. So maybe the computer is showing that the evaluation is hopeless.
But black has
Rook
0
comes to
ideas.
G1.
And exactly now the advantage is dropping. I don't know what's going. Oh, queen g4 is a mistake apparently.
Because maybe the pawn has to go to that square, like
Yes,
you
and
said.
he's slowed it down a bit. But I have knight f4 here, and then I'll play knight g5 next move because of the king on h8. So
But
come on, I
What are
would
you-
I think in a blitz game,
knight
black,
g5 now.
Black
Come on, knight
loses
g5,
this-
knight f8. Oh, I see the problem.
But black loses this type of position most of the time, and look at the clock.
Knight g5, your threat is knight e6.
Oh.
But knight f8 and then
He reaches out, it's on the board. He'll have to play maybe knight f8 here.
white will go what, queen h5 or what? Maybe queen h5. Queen h5
And then
because
the bishop will have to
because
move.
of king g8 I have knight e6 with the 4.
Yeah, e6 is...
So
So
queen
maybe you have to go
h5.
bishop d8.
But the evaluation bar is not reacting at all, so I don't
Do
know
you
what's
still
going
have
on.
bishop d8 here? And
Yeah.
knight e6 is
And
stopped.
then everything is stopped.
Great
Okay.
call, Tanya. The rook protects f7, the knight protects e6, and suddenly Pragg has evened it up on the evaluation bar, but the position still looks very dangerous.
No, but white has lost too much time. So now I suspect this
It's
could even
still-
backfire.
It's looking really scary though, no? The rook is coming to g3 next.
What about king g8 here?
King g8.
Well, I want to take the piece.
It was bishop b5. Where's he going with that bishop? Bishop a4, bishop c2? That seems like a long journey.
It doesn't even matter. Relaxed. He might be threatening f6 somewhere.
Oh, very
Because he's
good call.
protected it, yeah.
Although
Uh-huh.
e6.
But knight g6, knight
Yeah.
e6, there are too many problems with it.
Can you move your rook from e3 to either f3, g3? I can't. I don't know which one's more tempting. Maybe h3 as well, Robert, as you're pointing out.
Was that a request or were you asking if it was
I was
possible?
asking him which one is better. I
Okay.
couldn't decide.
The knight, okay, it's under. Can I capture it? That's a big question because the queen is protected. Now I'm definitely not capturing it. I don't want to get checkmated. Bishop A4.
Rook H3 is
he
ridiculous.
played
Yeah.
it. He played it.
What is the rook doing on H3?
He wanted to allow his knight to stay put, right? That's your face says it all.
But black isn't going to take it. So, what is rook H3?
I don't have the answers. I
What?
have. He didn't go for bishop c2. He put his king in the corner. Okay, that makes sense. They were pressured on the g file. But this is starting to look good for black, as you were saying. Right, the game can turn.
Let's zoom into our players. As
Bishop
they're
D1.
playing Under
Bishop
10
D1.
seconds.
Oh.
Bishop D1.
D1. A big moment for black here.
And
And he reaches out for the
oh.
bishop. It moves back with it.
Oh, but no, but the pawn went to
B3.
B3.
Oh, B3. So
Yeah.
maybe there was a moment when it could have happened or not. Or
Yeah, I think for a second.
okay,
there,
Vidit has lost any advantage because it's opposite color bishops and in
And
fact he's
what-
worse.
Nodirbek against Vincent. That
And actually, Hari's just moving around on all those squares. Rook F3, Rook G3, Rook H3.
we could see a repetition. I mean, they're going back and forth
Whoa.
in H3 and he brings rook to C3 now.
Yes, because now F7 is overloaded. He's
So
gone back
he-
to G8. Now hang on, let's see if there's some knight E6, bishop F7, knight F7.
The engine
something.
likes black, but of course for Pragg it's very difficult on the waning seconds. But look at Hari's clock.
Also under 10 seconds.
Rook F3 now, King G. So this is Prague's moves. Just King H8, King G8.
Hari has to find something, but it looks like Hari's not
Can
giving
I
it.
take on G5 at some point?
When?
They agree to draw. They repeated moves. And
Both of them no idea what happened. Like Pragg's reaction was
but
to wave his hands.
Nodirbek won his game, so he is really getting close to the top of the leaderboard.
Yes, and
Alexander
Grischuk drew,
Oh, it's really good news for Nodirbek.
and Pragg drew. So
Let's go over. Let's head over to Vidit versus
which is now a
Arjun.
draw after bishop C5
And look at
and
that.
it's game over. Yeah.
And Pragg is still analyzing and seeing if Hari could have done something differently. Both of them with a big smile there. But we've got live action on. Which game do you want to go to? Both very important.
They're all over actually. Only MBL is still playing.
Yeah,
And
so-
that looks like a draw now after rook takes a2. So Vidit is totally drawn. It's just a drawn ending.
right.
And we can wrap up for the day. Do you want to see what happened for Nodirbek in Kaimer?
So let's just also quickly update everyone why Vidit Arjun is a draw. Vidit is up a pawn, but opposite color bishops. That one should end soon. And here, if we can just zoom into the players as they're blitzing out their moves.
This
Is it
is this trivial?
really
I mean,
over?
Which one?
This Maxime
I
Gukesh?
I mean, this allowing the pawn up. That seemed like a very bad decision.
Yes.
Suddenly, Maxime, he's just pushing the pawn.
But first of all, rook c5. It's a resigns.
Oh, he missed it. Rook B1
Yes, he did.
still.
And this probably still wins. But rook c5 was a pawn ending. It's
just
just
swap
over.
everything off.
And now it's lost as well.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Oh,
3 moves at a row happen.
F. No,
G4.
no, no.
You need one more pass pawn, of course. And it's just resigned.
Did he have to play H5 first? Because the engine wasn't suggesting a completely winning position just yet, but now it is. Black's out of moves. Completely frozen.
Look at the speed with which they're playing.
But now it's easy for white. Just
Yeah.
steal every single pawn. Gukesh
Yeah.
resigns, and it looked like
MBL
it should be a draw.
is one again.
He keeps winning.
So he's caught up with Arjun, I think.
7.5 points for Maxime.
Wow, he's overtaken Gukesh with that win. 3 draws, 2 wins with white. Pragg Hari ends in a draw. And we've got a big round coming up, Robert.
What we doing? Nodirbek Abdusattoro, he just won his game, so he beats Vincent Keimer and he inches forward in the standing. He's unstoppable today. And for Pragg and Grischuk, those draws, that keeps the distance between them, but it's getting less and less with Nodirbek chasing so
Yes.
closely.
Let's have a look at the standings.
Let's bring those up. Let's bring up our standings. And here it is. So still a half-point lead. It's getting very close for Pragg now. And Nodirbek, half a point behind Grischuk.
And Pragg and Grischuk play the next game against one another. So a
Okay.
huge matchup coming up. Obviously, can we get you to stay for that? And I know you have a lot going on, but would you stay for the next game?
Yeah, I will stay for the next few, I think.
Okay,
so
great.
I'm just going to be around.
Yeah. Just want to make sure because that game is
By
so
now,
important.
I want to
getting-
watch this because
yeah,
it's becoming
it's
very
getting
interesting.
exciting.
I mean, I'm not going to miss Pragg Grischuk, and I think there will be some more exciting pairings every round anyway. So
But
I'm
we
not
are
going
going-
anywhere.
We'll be right here, but we are going to take a short break. And we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes as the players get ready for these big matchups that are coming up. Is round 15 action that is coming up, and cheers, Robert.
It's not masala chai, but just regular tea this time.
Robert ready to move to India, as Anand was saying in the break, and we've got some big news. We have our winners from the contest of the giveaway that we had, a 1-year diamond membership. You had to tell us your favorite chess player at Tata Steel Chess India without telling us your favorite chess player. Let's bring up our winners, and maybe we can ask Vishy to guess who they were talking about.
Okay, let's see.
Good luck even seeing that on the screen there.
Yeah.
So it's Dr. Sicilian Defense. Firstly, congratulations. Secondly, great username. You do win the 1-year diamond membership. And because the answers were so great, there were 2 of them. But we do have the moves. So really quickly, Ankit Kate is the second winner of the diamond membership. We will come back to this later, Robert. Because Blitz action is on, I think we have to move on to the chess.
When we have the players in first and second place going at it, we have to lock right into the chessboard. Praggnanandhaa has the white pieces against Alexander Grischuk. I think we're going to stay on this game throughout most of the round. Of course, we'll keep a close eye on Nodirbek Abdusattoro taking on Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. But if we can get the players on screen, there we have it. And we have another Italian game, but this time it's Pragg's knight that goes to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like this opening decision for Pragg, Vishy?
He does it a lot recently. He's won some nice games with it, so he's happy.
He's just going after the bishop. Oh, he trades on e6 first.
Yeah. And now I guess he'll play b4 and c4 or something like that, or b4 and c3.
And okay, castles first, but I think of course he can expand at any moment. So in general, black, I assume, just castles kingside and takes the f-file. And where's the major plans?
I guess white might play b4, bishop b2, c4, and try to play c5 somewhere. The reason I want to play bishop b2 before c4 is because if something lands on d4, I'm better prepared for it. Queen d7, okay. And now if I go b4, black could maybe just play knight d4, knight takes f3, and a b6.
Starts with
c3 to stop that. And black has the option to go knight e7, g6 now.
Ooh.
And then castle. Or knight e7, g5. Even. Maybe g5 is great for black, actually.
Oh, and it's played.
Yeah.
Tanya,
Great call.
he keeps calling, and I know you love these type of aggressive plans for black.
So queen g7 maybe next, and we
So-
get some action.
Is Black's king headed to queenside soon, and then you're just...
Yes, but the beautiful thing for
Targeting
black
whites.
is it could even, after the queen moves to g7, I could even slide it to d7.
And
I
then
don't need to
get-
castle, yeah.
oh,
So,
It's perfectly safe there.
yes.
So how does white create counterplay in these positions? Black has made intentions clear on the king side.
For the moment, white just has to halt g4. So, it's not, white's not in any real danger here, but black could now try bringing the other knight to g6, bring it to f4. Oh, he has actually gone long. So, he's going to do it to the rook. He's going to go rook dg8 and h5.
It's starting to look a little scary for white.
But it's harder to get that breakthrough on g4. And even if you get it, I play h4 and what's next? So, you'll need to bring more pieces in.
But how does white initiate an attack or any? Is there going to be a d4 strike at some point?
I
Or
would
is
say
this
yeah, b4, knight b6, a4, a5.
Just
That might be just the easiest.
okay. So now
In fact, it's a solid way of proceeding. So, black has got to move fast. Maybe some rook d8 and a g4 is a sack maybe, or h5 and g4. So,
and Tanya, we know that sometimes people struggle when they don't have a plan, but white now has a plan that we see, and black, that plan looks very obvious.
And again, it's one of those positions where black's plan makes the moves easy. You want to go rook g8, you want to get an h5, g4 next. Do you want to put an h5, or would you go g4 without even the other pawn supporting?
I can't see how to make it work. If I go knight b6, a b6, g4, and I mean a4, and you play g4, I play h4 and f3, and how do you proceed?
He
But
stops it.
exactly when I say that, Pragg just pours cement on that plan. So,
So he got rid of a passive piece, but that was also a defender for his king.
Yeah.
It does mean that g4 won't have a g3 with an attack on the knight. So there are good news and bad news. And is it as simple as you were saying?
no,
that
right now g4 is a threat because h4 is not defended.
Oh, and you definitely
When we had the knight on h2 and the knight on f6, that was never a problem. But now, is white going to play h3? Is white going to play f3? F3, I can play knight e7, g6, f4, and then proceed with g4. So that
Are you worried about a4, a5 as you?
I am, but I don't see how to stop it.
Maybe Black's king will be safe on d7.
Maybe it would have been safe on d7 because I can't see any difference, but the rook could be on a8, stopping everything. So
There's also a very...
Abdusattoro is okay. No, he's not a pawn up. There's a pawn missing on g2.
And Anand, look at this position between Arjun and Gukesh. I think we should head to that
Yes.
one with Black's king in the center. I know you're going to enjoy it, and we need you to tell us what's happening here.
Whoa.
So must have been a bishop g5 knight off, or maybe a rouser, but more likely a knight off.
Is Black up just two pawns? There's no.
Yes.
It's not a sacrifice piece. I would have assumed Black sacrificed something for this, but it's just 2 extra pawns.
Bishop d6. Now wait, bishop takes a6 maybe?
Oh,
What?
getting tactical. Also, is knight f5?
Knight f5 might just be winning.
Just go for.
No, not winning, but very strong. Knight f5, bishop e5, knight takes g7.
Oh, this is looking scary for both players, honestly. But now, at least
Maybe
White has
slightly
impressed.
more scary for white than for black. Sorry, black than for white, because knight f5 looks good.
Any other ideas? So bishop takes
Knight
a6.
d2, but that's a bit slower. I mean, even c4 is not yet available, so
Knight f5?
knight f5 does look good.
Very
Let's see, knight
direct,
f5,
yeah.
yes.
Now-
Bishop e5.
Yes.
Now
Rook e3.
rook e3, okay.
Clever try here.
Knight g4.
Is there some? I'm like looking for some kind of sacrifice and checkmate, but I think the king always
Even
is
ef5, but ef5 you go bishop f4, and that's the
Uh-oh.
problem. Yeah. So and knight e4, rook e4.
Rook e4.
So knight g4.
So rook e3 played, he's still...
Oh, knight g4. I have rook e5. Is that his point?
And then just take on f4?
Yes.
But then
No,
there's
but then I go knight e5, knight
knight
d3
d3,
check, right?
exactly. Yeah, just show
Uh-huh.
very quickly that knight g4, rook e5. You take on f4. There's knight d3 check, and the queen takes on f4, and somehow the EVA bar still towards the center.
Yeah,
but-
bishop d3, queen f4, knight e3. White's also not doing that badly.
Okay, no move yet. in
Still
this
hasn't
game.
moved.
How about
And he's
Praggnanandhaa
down
against
to
Grischuk?
16 seconds.
Grischuk has solved the problem of being attacked by a4, a5 by exchanging queens. But this looks equalish. It's
Wait.
nice that the rook is on f3. Oh, he got d4 in. Then it's more significant because now black must be better.
But at least one smart thing that Pragg did is he welcomed Black's pawn to e5, so there's a knight e5. So he takes away some important knight jumps.
Correct. But if I go knight d8 f7 on knight d8 f7, or knight e6 and then king d7, your bishop has almost no squares to attack my
So I
pawn
was
on
gonna
e5.
say,
So
can
he
I
took
take-
it.
yeah.
Yeah. But now black has an extra pass pawn. White's pass pawn is buried on f2, but black has a latent pass pawn on the c file maybe.
And there's the
And
king.
so this is better for black. This is clearly
And I think at some point Pragg will likely try to play a5 to get this rook activated on
yes.
the file. But
Rook a8, okay.
White's so tied down here.
And there are so many plans. I could go rook f6 and then rook c6, c3. Put it there.
Such a big matchup because if Grischuk wins this game, he suddenly is in first place.
Yeah.
In fact, you've run out of things. I could play b5 here. A5, c5,
Ooh.
bc5, king c6, and you have to defend 3 pawns,
Uh-huh.
and you have only 2 rooks.
Yeah.
So,
You're not even analyzing, the moves are just
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
as...
Oh, and Pragg is down to his
Amazing.
final second. He was.
but now ba5, rook a5 maybe.
And
But maybe
Nodirbek's streaks comes to a halt because Maxime wins with the black pieces.
Maxime
so that's,
is in such great. If he had started day one better, he would be competing really at the top. So
Now
what's-
rook a7, and it's over. As far as I can see, it's
Rook
over.
a.
Oh, he's
is
just
he
gone
going for
c4.
it.
No, but
But
is there?
I don't like having a pawn on a7.
That looks.
But no, wait. Now c3 is over. What is
and
this?
Oh, yeah.
b4 is coming?
Oh, he went rook d1. Okay, hang on.
He wants beef, but here this doesn't work.
But now rook b1 he
b1.
will go, and but then I go rook a8.
Oh,
No.
That cannot
No,
be.
he's
No,
not
he's on
f8.
rook
Yeah,
f8, not
the
rook
computer
h8.
slipped,
Oh.
Yeah.
and now king b6 kicking that rook,
But
and
he-
it's over.
He's
What?
come
I'm
back.
no, I'm trying to catch
okay.
it because the moves are. When the rook goes to h8, it frees the DGT board. So unfortunately, the DGT board is frozen at the moment. We will just let's zoom in on the
Yeah,
players.
let's zoom in on the board and the players so we can follow the moves as they happen.
Yeah, no,
No,
get rid
let's-
of the our board, please, if we can. Thank you, producer G.
Yeah,
And
I
also
think
give it a
the pawns are still on b4 and c3.
Yeah, we can just zoom in the players, remove the chessboard
it's
from
gonna
the
resign.
scene. Our
Oh
chessboard.
wow.
It's resigned. I mean, I see 2 pawns on the 6th.
Yeah, one on the 7th now.
Oh, and it's a
that's it.
resignation.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that Prague's second loss in a row?
So unfortunately, we did not actually get to see the moves, but we do see the result, and Grischuk wins the game.
And he has taken the lead now.
He's
Taking the
the
lead,
lead
yes.
for the first time.
Nodirbek also finally lost
He
to
lost
the
to Maxime.
surging Maxime,
And let's quickly head over to Arjun versus Gukesh.
where Arjun looks very comfortable,
Yeah.
if not just winning.
He's got a bishop and 2 pawns for a rook, and Black's king is
But maybe
feeling the
maybe
lead.
he
Gukesh
can't
is
move
hanging
his-
in there.
he
He
can't
can't
move
move
his
his bishop
bishop.
easily. Yeah.
Because there's a queen a1 checkmate. So maybe this is just going to be a repetition of some sort. Oh,
He's
he goes
gone for
queen.
this.
Oh.
But that doesn't seem clear to me. If I take and rook b8, maybe he thinks he's winning this one.
He's going for the endgame.
But now I go. Well, bring it. You have to charge up with the king. Yeah, or this way, and then king f7, e6 somewhere, something. And
Isn't
then
this the type of position that
Playing
even...
for 3 results.
now rook g8. Now rook g8.
Oh,
Rook g3 is a big threat.
You have to harass the bishop because it's the only piece you can harass.
So bishop will go to d5. Okay, he brings the king.
but now rook g4.
Now f4. Oh, rook g4 check.
You steal this pawn.
I think it might be a draw. f4, but
But it's a race.
yes.
Oh, that was a mistake apparently by Gukesh.
King e7 is a mistake.
Yes. And the c pawn, you go into c7. That seems very hard to stop. The rook can't even get to b3.
Yes.
f2 check. You see he made the move out of desperation. He attacks the bishop. The bishop slides back. Rook b3 stops the b pawn, but doesn't stop the h pawn.
Yeah, but the problem is now I can play b7, c6. Even if it's blockaded, it's too many pawns.
Yeah.
So Arjun is winning this
And
one.
actually the h pawn will decide the game.
Yeah, that's okay. So h6 at some point, but he doesn't want to rush it, especially now because h6.
Yeah, but
that
now
works,
it's a
though.
king coming up.
'Cause-
Yeah, just the king will assist the h pawn and the rook will have to give itself up.
Actually, he got to give another check because his only hope was to harass the
yeah, now
bishop. Yeah.
push the pawn and
And no h1 check. So, and that's it, handshakes. And Gukesh and Arjun, they sit and analyze, but Arjun is the winner of that game and five decisive
results
yeah.
again.
we have every game had a winner. Arjun, by the way, up to 8.5 points, so he's doing quite well.
And if I caught this correctly, Taimur on a bit of a rebound as well.
Let's bring up our standings going into the next round with 5 decisive results. We are expecting a lot of
Vidit-
shuffling. At the top, we already have a big change.
But Vidit, he
Lost again to
It's
Taimur
just-
because Taimur has caught up with Vincent.
Yeah, that's...
And Nodirbek and Maxime is 8.5 now. Arjun is 8.5.
Is that his
And
fifth
Alexander is
He
10.
drew one game.
He drew one game
yeah,
today.
but he's
Out of what, 6? So
loss?
far?
6, yes. 5 losses, 1 draw. And for Grischuk at 10 points, half a point ahead, and then Arjun 1 point behind Pragg, along with Maxime Nodirbek. Maxime has jumped up in the standings a lot.
Maxime's been
He's
doing
in
great.
fourth place.
Yeah.
And-
Joint third. And Hari in the mix as well, but it is this top 5 bracket that's super close to each other. And with 4 rounds to go, again for these
Three
rounds to go, yeah,
But
it's a big race at the top.
it all matters with the matchups because someone 8.5 points gets to play Grischuk. Actually, Grischuk plays Vincent Keimer next.
He
So
does. And
Vincent not
Pragg-
one of the chasing pack.
And Pragg plays Vidit next. So for Grischuk and Pragg, I think they're looking to get another win in.
Well, they have to because if they don't keep winning, even if they draw, look at all those people at 8.5 points. That 1.5 point difference with 3 games to go. It's likely in Blitz that someone continues a hot streak. Like Arjun, feels like he's winning all his games.
But Robert, the one person who did beat Pragg yesterday was Vidit. And it felt like a game where Vidit outplayed Pragg. So he's still got to be careful.
And Gukesh was amazingly lucky with Pragg as well, right? So again,
Yes, he
Blitz,
was
it's
lost,
Blitz,
but
it's
he
Blitz.
won.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's Blitz. Both of
Yes.
them react very well.
So 5 decisive games in that round. Let's maybe take a look at some of the games we didn't get to see because there's so much action
Let's-
taking place.
Let's do a deep dive into Nodirbek versus Maxime, with Maxime suddenly in the mix after that win against Nodirbek, and we can go through this one.
I think at some point, Vichy, you said, oh, it looks like an extra pawn for white, but there was a G pawn missing. At the end position, this is one of the worst pawn structures you could possibly get. All of white's pawns are isolated. So we just go through how this happened.
Yeah.
Maxime goes back to his beloved Sicilian, and knight c6. Queen takes d4. That's not a move you see very often.
I've played it myself.
Me too. But, you know,
But you don't see it too often.
No. So it turns into a fianchetto bishop. And stop us where you see an interesting moment, especially with the queens being traded and black has the open A file. But how do you evaluate these pawns?
It should be bad, but maybe black dynamically plays bishop e6, rook f8, knight d7. Maybe you never really get to attacking them. What you want is a rook maybe on b4 one day, but I don't see that happening with this clustering of pieces.
Would be lovely to get a rook against those pawns. But look how quickly the knight just jumped to b4 and
And
stole.
he's saying, help yourself. So
Doesn't want to take up to the knight gets trapped down there.
now I could go knight d4. Oh, that is beautiful.
Instant replay just to show. But knight takes c2. The knight is in bad shape. It can't really get out very easily. So instead, knight to a2. I have not seen a move like this.
But because c1 is attacked as well. Otherwise, it would be trapped simply.
Yes, so he attacks both pieces, and okay, now we have a position without those knights, and the c file is open. So,
But I would like this for white, that I've swapped the c3 knight, because I was wondering how to get rid of it, and black got rid of it for me. So
it just seems like, look at black's activity on the queen side. Where did that g pawn go? Ooh,
he's won the pawn like this from the other side.
and that's where it went because
Yes.
after bishop e4, bishop b6,
B6.
takes. The pawn structure is just worse for white.
But not by enough to make a difference. I mean, he's clearly done something bad afterwards. Let's see.
Okay,
I mean, this looks king to f3 looks just very reasonable.
but it's just so unpleasant to play with ugly pawn structures in Blitz. I'm telling you, we've seen it throughout the event. Every single time someone's a bad pawn structure, it feels like they're desperately trying to figure out a way to keep them all defended. But now we
Another
So why did he play
weakness.
bishop cd4? Because of bishop d4, I'll go rook f5. Bishop e3, bishop takes f4. And a bishop f4, g5 or e5. Both will get me a pawn, extra pawn. So, and then the pawn structure is really getting ugly. If I play rook b3, yeah, and then you just see that it's...
and every single move from that's so nice. You can't.
In fact,
get-
after f5 and bishop g7, now it's going to be
it's
mate.
mate.
So white has to grovel back,
He tried to run back exactly,
and then bishop g7, and it's resigns. So that was that.
It's just a very clean game from Maxime. I'm
Sure.
looking at his clock, Tanya. When Maxime is playing well, he's often playing very quickly.
And he's definitely picked up the momentum. We've got about 4 minutes for the next round. And while Anand, you've been solving all the puzzles for us in your analysis, we've got a puzzle coming up for you with our contest that we were looking at earlier. We didn't get the time, so let's bring up the winners of our giveaway who have won the one-year diamond membership for Chess.com. And it was Dr. Sicilian Defense. If we can have it on full screen. And Anand, you have to guess the player that they're talking about. So, when he opens up the cap of his water bottle in the middle of a game, it surely curtains for his opponent. The only player after Vishy sir from India who seems to have a formula to solve the Magnus effect. I'm not going to give you the next hint because it'll be too obvious. Arjuna Award winner. He's the wonder kid of India. We all want to be like
Pragg?
him. Good call there. And I think it was the we all want to be like him is the Ramesh story that Magnus
yeah.
mentioned.
That's a clever...
Yeah, it's a clever take on how you told us your favorite player is. And the other winner, Ankit Kate. Vishy, for this one. The legend who held the then world champion to a draw in just 4.
With it, yeah.
That was an easy one, but well done. Congratulations to both of you who get a 1-year diamond membership. And let's bring up our standings so that we can find out who's on the way to being congratulated for the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz. With just 3 rounds remaining, it is Alexander Grischuk at the top of the leaderboard. Anand, with so many rounds that have happened, energy is a factor. There have been this shuffling around. How do you see the action progressing in the next 3 games?
Essentially, Pragg and Grischuk have swapped places. And the chasing pack, they're having a very, very good day. So that makes them dangerous. And the difference isn't big. So it's still a lot to play for.
Do you think we're going to have more players join the top, or will the fight be amongst the top 4 as we saw in the standings?
Top 6. I mean, there's somebody on 7.5, and that's about as far as it can go. I think the others are really out of it. But 6 people, even number 6 is really out of it. But maybe an outside chance to be 3rd or 2nd. But really, it's a 5-way race now, because three people on 8.5 have had a very good day, but
Yeah.
they're still spotting Pragg a point and Grischuk by 1.5. So
And what's going to be the
if
critical?
I remember correctly, it is 8.5,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
What's going to be the critical sort of deciding factors in such a tournament, which is a long event? You've got so many games to play. How do the players stay fresh? Blunders happen, one move misses happen. What's the correct approach for the Blitz here?
Not to make the blunders.
Yeah.
You're down to 3 games and there's not much time to recover anymore. So now a loss should hurt.
Yes.
So let's put it that way.
And Pragg actually said a really interesting thing yesterday, that it's about trying to play simple chess.
Like when it goes well for him, it often looks like that. But Pragg against Vidit, who's had a dreadful day.
Yes.
5 losses.
5 losses,
And
one
one
draw, and but Vidit did beat Pragg yesterday in a really nice game, and he can play spoiler in these last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
I think these are tricky pairings usually because you see someone towards the bottom of the standings who's having a bad day and you want to pick on that person, but then you remember that
But
they're
they-
a super grandmaster.
Correct, and they're strong enough that they're going to have one good game,
Yeah.
and you worry that it's going to be against you.
And Vincent is one of those players. He's towards the bottom of the standings, but he gets the black pieces against Alexander Grischuk.
Oh, where is Alexander Grischuk? The clocks have started. Can we go back to the board? Vincent versus... He's still not there?
Oh, this has happened before, but not a good thing for
Ooh.
Alexander, who usually needs all the seconds he can have on his clock.
And there he
Yeah.
is. So, lost a couple of seconds, but I think he's going to gain that with the increment.
And quickly he plays d4, and this actually can be unsettling for the player who's sitting at the chair. Like, it's kind of uncomfortable when your opponent's not there and you're now thinking about other things besides the chess. But as we always say, you don't have much time to think about anything. You just have to make your moves.
Pretty much. It's hard to say that Vincent could have any coherent thoughts. But if it had been longer, if it had been 25, 30 seconds, I think Vincent will feel slightly uncomfortable because it's not normal. The game normally doesn't start
What if
with you getting
it was
a...
2 minutes and 30 seconds away from the board and they show up with 30 seconds left?
That's even worse because you're playing a kamikaze player essentially. So,
That's what
but then
madness-
but they then start playing even faster, and that's annoying. But
Okay, so a really interesting opening there. And usually, traditionally, we expect when black does push the G pawn, you want to fan counter your bishop. So, Anand, can you just break down this bishop b4 and these opening ideas for us?
knight d2, maybe knight c6, and then was it yesterday that knight f3, g4, a3 happened? I think this is Grischuk's game from yesterday.
Yes, it was.
I'm also not sure why knight c3 is not being played, but knight d2, and if knight c6, I'm not sure why e3 is not being played, but anyway.
Okay, so we have a fight in the center. So g4 is met by the pawn push to a3, kicking this bishop away from the pin. Otherwise, the knight would be forced to move and white would be in trouble. So h5. Okay, I like the start of this game. We have a true fight.
You're also going to really like the start of Pragg's game as well. It's an interesting position with black. I thought he wanted to go f5 at some point, but I'm not sure anymore. Let's...
Yes,
Okay.
he's gone queen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was
We
going to go
can-
to the
No,
Pragg
that's
game,
fine.
but what's happening in this? Pragg's have a lot of time.
Yes, and with it is put his knight on h4, which is slightly awkward if you're going to play f5 and all these moves. So,
Queen e8.
Pragg's favorite move.
Here it makes a lot of sense defending g6,
Yes.
but you keep us updated whichever game we want to go to,
Yeah.
please. We are happy to go through, but we should stay on Pragg and Grischuk for the time being. And I guess actually some people are chasing them closely.
So queen e8. He does want to go f5 next.
Yes, because I mean sometimes white plays bishop takes b6, c b6, knight d6 here, but I think f5
Oh.
I don't see that it's happening.
Such an easy thing to overlook, right? It's like your pawn is defending another pawn.
Yeah.
There's no way they'll sacrifice a piece. If bishop takes b6 could really hurt black in some of these positions.
And I think he made a
Oh,
move that...
bishop takes
Wait,
b6. Isn't
now
the queen
your idea-
trapped?
No, but it's pinned luckily. That's the beauty. Because bishop b6, he can also move the bishop. He could play bishop e6 first and then capture on b6.
Got
So
it.
But Vichy, now it's a threat. He moves
if the queen
away.
moves, then
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
now it
yeah.
is a threat.
Although maybe now also you might have bishop g4 at some moment.
Oh, that's actually
Yes.
a very good point.
Yeah.
So you can trick yourself, and you think, "Oh, my opponent blundered. I could take on b6." But this is at least the type of position.
But wait,
problem.
after f5, couldn't he have played bishop takes b6? Wasn't the queen trapped
Oh.
still? But then g5,
Just
and then,
so bishop takes b6, trying to get to the
g5, I guess. But then I go bishop takes c7,
C7, just take-
gh4,
and then
knight d6, queen g6. Maybe
messy.
black is just about getting out of it. The problem for white is he might be attacked anyway. Some queen g6, bishop f6, whatever. But
But
anyway.
I'm just going to point out that actually bishop b6 is the move that Evalbar wanted at that moment. So you were on point with that.
I mean, this knight is not on point. I think black should probably have the king h7 to free up this queen at some moment.
Oh, bishop f6 kicking the knight.
Just right direct. Oh, hey. Hey, Pragg. We had dinner last night. Now you're making moves like this. Thank you. I also picked him to win the tournament. So, you
So
know,
bishop e6. Now,
what is happening here? So much tension in the d5 square. Knight g2, reround e3.
no, well, now both knights, one of them will land on e3, and basically at the end, white will have a knight on e3.
Okay, so this one is getting tense. Both players to about 119. How is Grischuk doing?
I think we should go to that. It might be our only opportunity, as we will definitely jump back to this as the players reach a time scramble. But the Grischuk Vincent, equally exciting.
So white has castled. Black's king doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon with all of these pieces in its path. But what's the material count? Is black up 2 pawns?
So can I go e4 here? I mean, I have to kick that knight on f5, right?
I think that seems like a good plan. So the knight goes back to e7.
But then I play
Bishop
bishop f6.
f6.
Yeah.
You can't move.
We might have to go to h6.
You can sack the exchange. Now rook g6, rook takes. But rook g6, I might just take on h4 and so
He
on.
does respond with a counter attack.
I thought it was.
But now e f5
Takes e5.
takes, queen d8, king d8, knight e4 check, king somewhere. Oh, knight e4 check. It's actually a problem.
I'll have to go king e7, right?
Then
'Cause
f6 check,
go back.
king
then.
e8, and then rook takes h4. And you have the 2 pawns on e6 and e5, but that can't be great.
He dropped back with the bishop because he probably thought down material. Not so
But
good
now
straight.
it's great for black. I'll play knight h6, threatening to come to g4.
He does just that.
So f3 stops that, and then e5, and
But is it easy? I guess there's queen g5. That's super
Yes.
important, and that means your knight feels safe. And the
but
king
I'm really
has
shocked that
access.
Grischuk didn't play e5. It looked like a very easy one
Right.
decision to make.
Good try, at least, and especially to go after that black king. So now he's going after the black king, but
Okay, he's going
With
to go
what pieces?
c5.
and then
But no, black is better here now. So not a good start for Grischuk.
Not a good start for Grischuk, and things are turning around in the Vidit Pragg. And I know the fans really want to see that one. Robert, we'll keep an eye out on this, keep everyone updated. But let's jump over to the players on this board.
ooh, well, black has the fixed pawn structure, so the f5 pawn is a long-term weakness. White has the activity with the queen and the rook. Oh, rook f6 though. Where is that rook going? That's the big question. Actually, this looks very pleasant for white, but the eval bar doesn't seem so impressed.
Yes, because humans would tend to say black has to sit and defend, whereas a computer doesn't realize that that's a problem. So, but queen d7 must be good.
Oh, so rook c, he
Stops
blocked
it.
it.
Oh, he
The
couldn't
queen
get
was-
it,
Rook c6, what an awkward... I feel like black's pieces are awkwardly placed.
So
Yes.
knight f5, queen f5, you can't really do that.
So he goes king h2, quiet move, and probably some kind of queen e6.
Maybe
Yes.
he's threatening now knight d5, because the rook...
Yeah, it doesn't take on d1 to check,
the
right?
check.
Okay.
So I like queen e6 even more, taking into account
Yeah,
your
queen
knight
e6.
d5. Played. And he goes rook d8, so rook slams down the last rank.
Yeah, now with it, this must be better. Though the evaluation bar doesn't bother
Is
at
there, is there
all.
rook d6? Because
Is he
rook
running out
d6
of time?
yes, he is.
King g6,
And now rook e8?
rook e8, and king f7.
7?
Wow, the engine really didn't like
because
that
you can
move.
even take on e7,
It-
knight f5.
Well,
Wait,
he's just
this-
surrounding this rook, and also at some point, black's going to turn this around. And Vidit makes a quick move
Oh,
there.
he's locking that rook into c6.
Oh,
is there
wait.
Now white is winning.
Rook
with rook
7
takes
and
e7.
95. What a
Oh,
find by
wow.
Vidit there. And unfortunately for Pragg, it means he's losing
my
material
God.
there. He resigns.
3 in a row.
Wow. What a turnaround this has been. And Vidit gets his first win of the day against Pragg. And at a moment where it really does hurt Prague's chances in the tournament, let's head back to Alexander Grischuk against
Who is now winning?
Vincent. Good question. Looks like white knows
Yes,
the extra
because he's
exchange.
locked in the knight on g. Now rook g7 will win a pawn. Otherwise, White can continue to improve his position because he needs to bring that rook back. Now rook d3 will come.
But now the pawns are going for it. So White is dilly-dallied for quite a bit here. Is he going?
But he's going
G3?
rook g3.
Clever.
But rook, yeah. And now knight e7, rook takes 7. Luckily, it's pinned. Otherwise, White would be in trouble. But now rook doubles on the 8th.
So he's going to take. He swaps rooks, which
And
of
then
course is good for White.
rook c7, check.
The
Or even better, rook g7, move the knight, check, and then I can play g4 maybe somewhere.
He's going
Oh,
pawn
knight f5.
grabbing.
You can't take this pawn on e6. Do not take that pawn e6. You lose your rook.
Knight d4 is a threat.
Now g4, yeah. b4,
But
okay.
These pawns are really fast.
But are they actually going to wait? c3, king d3.
That's exactly.
Now it's over because c2, king d2, and now it's over. Because after a4, rook takes d4 wins. Yeah, rook takes d4. Thank you very much.
Oh,
You
that's
called it, and you
really
see.
nice.
Did you see the oomph he put into rook takes d4? He knew it won him the
Yeah.
game, and he shakes it off. But he's shaking
Now he's
off
a
Pragg.
point and a half. Who was chasing them? Nodirbek. What is
Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, because Maxime beat Nodirbek in that last round, and Maxime drew now with Arjun.
Okay, and Nodirbek is
Very
back. He
Nodirbek
beat
won
Mohari.
against Hari. I think we've got to get the
We've got to
standings,
get the standings
up.
again because it's very hard to
Yes.
follow this kind of.
So many games and so many decisive results. 4 in this matchup. Let's bring up our standings. And Alexander Grischuk with a 1.5 point lead. And now it's Pragg and Nodirbek again at 9.5.
And Arjun and Maxime could easily finish second and third. There are 2 games left, so
2 games left, but it looks like Sasha's running away with this now.
If he wins,
It's over.
it's over. If he draws and the others cannot keep pace, it's also over. So that insurance that we're talking about, it's being cashed in. So it's really good news for Alexander Grischuk. Unfortunately for Indian fans, Pragg and Vidit, who entered the day at the top of the standings, Pragg's still up there, but he's now 1.5 behind Grischuk. So tough day.
Tough day, and we've got 2 games coming up. Robert, we're going to take this time to go into a short break. 2 very important games for the top 3 spots in the Blitz. Chat, you don't want to go anywhere. We will be back with all the Blitz action. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the penultimate round here at the Tata Steel Chess India Rapid. Only 2 games remain, and we have seen shuffling around on the leaderboard with the last dramatic few results and games coming in. Let's quickly bring up our standings. I want to have a little discussion on what are the probable scenarios right now, Vishy, in this tournament. Alexander Grischuk taking the lead, Pragg and Nodirbek a 1.5 behind.
A 1.5 point lead with two games left essentially means if Grischuk doesn't lose a game, he's going to win the tournament. 2 draws is basically too much for the others. It would put him. And what are the pairings? Does he have to play?
Let's bring up our
Nodirbek now.
matchups.
So he plays
Yes.
Nodirbek. That's Nodirbek's chance to make the tournament competitive.
And you almost expect no draw possible because the draw for Nodirbek is not equivalent to a loss in terms of the final standings. But if he wants first place, as we know, Abdusattoro always does, he might play to win, which could be playing to lose.
He will push. He will push his luck.
Yeah.
So I definitely expect that.
And let's remind everyone that if there's a tie at the top, only for first place, we will have a playoff. The players will fight it out for the championship here in the Blitz. And a big matchup coming up. So for Pragg and Nodirbek, especially for that chance to get to that first place, Nodirbek needs to win this next game against Alexander Grischuk.
It's Nodirbek's biggest hope. He could theoretically make a draw. No, if he makes a draw, he's out of it relative to
Yes.
Grischuk. So then the only option would be Pragg winning 2 games. So Nodirbek has to win for him to have a chance.
Nodirbek has to win his game, and Pragg, to keep his hopes alive of also fighting for first place, needs to beat Gukesh. And Gukesh has been that one very difficult opponent for him over the last few matchups that they've had against each other. We've got the games on, an Italian here.
In fact, the same one. So if knight a4, bishop b6, a3, I think we are in Pragg. Pragg versus Grischuk. So
I think, Robert, one thing's for sure that in this round, we're going to focus on this game and the Pragg versus Gukesh matchup.
For sure, because if Sasha wins this game, the tournament is his. He's going to clinch victory, but it's not going to be easy. And look at this setup. The bishops stare at each other for everyone at home. If black takes on e3, white is happy to get the open file against the black king. So Sasha has a big choice. Vishy, you've done so well to predict his decision-making. How do you see him continuing here?
there are a couple of options. You could play a6 and let white double your c-pawns. Okay, Grischuk has stepped back. He could also have taken on e3, but basically what he's choosing is not to open the f file, as you pointed out.
And I feel like in Blitz, generally speaking, having that open file is just so useful to go for an initiative that it can be uncomfortable for players. And Grischuk says, please take me. I'll take that
Yes,
open file myself.
Sure.
And Nodirbek, he's pondering his decision.
And as he does that, Robert, should we use this moment to jump in and see the other game? Pragg with white against Gukesh.
Okay, let's go to that. Pragg has a knight on
It's one of
F5.
these Retties things. So bishop b2.
That knight was
Bishop
threatened.
g6 I could have gone because e7 was covered. But rook f8 is fine.
Sorry. You don't need to move your queen yet, but queen c2 looks very
Yes.
normal.
But then you want to get in that bishop g6, no? Pinning that knight.
Yes.
Does that mean we have to be clever with some other queen move? We do the Pragg. Queen e1.
Maybe queen c1 and queen g5.
Queen
where
c1
you
I go
always-
bishop g6. So he's gone to
Queen
c2.
c2?
Yeah.
And
Bishop
e4.
g6 and e4.
He doesn't mind the doubling of the pawns because he gets the bishop pair and a pawn storm potentially on the king side. So a big decision for Gukesh. He retreats bishop to f8
Well, so he wants to play knight c5 e6 and then capture on f5.
to get that knight around to d6.
Correct. So knight h4 has happened, basically conceding the point, and now knight c5. I mean the point about d4, and then going knight e6 d4. Looks pretty decent for black, and unless white can get some f4 going, I don't see. In fact, it may be slightly preferable for black. If I play knight e6, it's a dream.
Okay, so Prague's down about a minute on the clock, and his position doesn't feel so simple. Should we go back to see what's happening with Nodirbek and Grischuk? Because let's see how Sasha's handling it. Ooh, double pawns in the center. Bishop takes h6 was a threat. Then now the queen is open to this knight. But would you take white's position here or black's?
I would take black. Now I could play e4, for instance.
Oh.
No. Yes, I can play e4. I can play e4. Because if knight e4, I play knight takes e4. And if you capture on f7, then knight e5 will win the bishop on c4.
Oh, I'm going to show that very quickly. That's so nice. The knight
Actually, no. But because king at 7, now we play... Yes, I have to go to f7 because I have to defend the g6, and now fe4. And if knight e5, queen f5 check. And now you can go all the way back, and even if you capture on c4, maybe queen f7 helps.
And it says that black would be better, so your eye was a
No,
good
so
one
was
there.
okay.
It's hard
Because
to...
of queen g5 in the end, maybe. Yes.
Yeah, hard to assess from a distance, but clearly black was happy to take the piece. And we see that white closes the e5 pawn, shuts it in place, and... All right,
I think
opening...
rook a c8 is nice.
Yeah, opening this bishop would seem favorable for white, but then black will strike at d5 at the right
Yes.
moment. Whose position do you feel is easier to play right now? Black's?
Yes. No, it's definitely black.
Okay, so Tanya, this one is looking like Grischuk is
d5
steady.
here because of the queen c5 check. So d5, and now I can play rook e d8, rook a b8.
Because king
I would be
h2
worried about being slightly worse with white. Rook e d8, let's say, and then rook a b8. Just useful, just to stop that bishop bouncing around.
But I think with the tournament standing, right, a draw and a loss to him feels about the same because he's striving for first or bust. So he is going to go all in for the win, and he's putting
Yeah.
all of his pieces towards the king side.
But already I could try and chase that a5 pawn. Could I go queen b4? Queen b4, attacking the knight on d2.
Wow. I was not even looking in that direction because I was worried about leaving
Well, I'm
the
winning a
king.
pawn, and you might play queen e2. But then I have knight, queen e2. And if queen a5, you'll do your rook f6 thing and hope for the best.
Yeah. Rook f6 and then pray.
Go for gold.
And that's something that Nodirbek needs to do, go for gold here. So we might be seeing these exchange sacrifices theme. Meanwhile, Praggnanandhaa touching the 30-second mark against Gukesh. And still a very complex position. Should we get a quick update on that one? Pragg versus Gukesh.
Okay, very quick, because if Grischuk can maximize his advantage, that could end the tournament. At least the first place would be his. But in this game between these two prodigies, what is happening here? Black has such good control over the central squares.
But no easy way to actually do anything because white's kept to put a bishop on h3, pawn on h4. So Pragg has done very well to make sure that nothing bad happens.
But now he's figured out how something good happens. He has clearly protected all of his squares, but I just feel like the clock situation is his biggest
But
enemy.
now I would go c5 so that pawn on d4 can't be defended. Yes, he's gone c5.
Great call.
And
Pawn
then
straight.
queen c4, rook d3, rook d1. Actually, Pragg might be better now. I didn't like knight d4, bishop d4, knight d4 so quickly.
Yeah, it's a big problem
I would
defending
have
this
delayed
pawn.
it a bit more maybe.
I'm with you. The knight just can't get out very easily. The bishop is covering the diagonal. So your idea is, no queen c4 yet because the pawn
Yes,
on e4
so
is
rook
hanging.
fe1 and maybe then knight e6 and maybe black solves this problem like this. So it was... No, why didn't he go knight e6?
Oh, he's playing for more.
Okay.
He's playing to win this game.
Okay, but now rook... he didn't need to play rook a5. I wanted to go knight e6 and if b4 defending the pawn, go
Then-
knight c7 and go knight b5. Then I have the c3 square. That must be huge.
But this position also, it does look good for black, especially in the clock. But should we go back to our Grischuk game just because that one is really consequential for the tournament standing. So we're going to go back to...
So now I go rook f d2 here. Hang on just a second. Let me go rook f d2 here. What are you doing?
Well,
Queen c4.
thankfully
okay.
he moved, so I didn't have to answer the question. I wasn't sure.
Pragg's got 8 seconds.
Yeah,
No,
huge.
but that can't be right, right?
No, I think he does.
he
He's
does.
down to his mere seconds at this point, but he's playing very, very well to stem the tides. He's just blockading this d pawn.
And Taimur's losing to Arjun.
Yes, but
Yeah, but Grischuk, I think
I hope Nodirbek's clock is incorrect. He's playing on mere seconds as well.
Okay, so let's go to that one because the
Okay,
tournament is on the
Grischuk
line.
has locked in a draw
Oh, that's huge.
Then maybe we can just
because he's a
stay
pawn
here.
up with nothing to lose.
Okay.
So I don't see him losing that.
Okay.
Gukesh is doing okay, but just being anything that d4 pawn will survive, will last the day. Maybe rook d1 and he's just
So-
going queen b8.
You can't take
With
it.
what idea?
Was rook g1 a draw in that position? No, queen was on b2. No way was
He's,
it a draw.
he's going for the checkmate down
I'm
here,
going for the cheapos, but king h2 and then.
but now white's up a pawn. So it looks very, very...
But I can play.
Oh, he's now
But he's going to attack that pawn.
going queen a4 next.
What is he went bishop g2, allowing knight e6, just allowing the knight to improve itself.
queen goes. He won some kind of rook d8.
H5 and rook d8 ideas.
But knight e6 now. And then for the moment I've plugged that
And they're down
knight
there.
e6 and then...
Seconds right
Yes,
now?
knight e6. Now there is no bishop h3. So queen takes b4. Queen b8 check, king h7.
Uh-oh.
Rook
Can you
takes
take on
f7.
F-
But now queen takes c5 threatens something on g1.
But it's only one check,
Check
right?
here, rook b2.
But it's over.
rook
Queen check and
b2.
rook b2. It's in fact a... Oh, but the king is very safe on g4. So hang on.
Oh my
If queen g1 check...
Oh,
but now,
wow, did you see he made it with 1 second on the clock?
But he's
yeah,
ready.
but now he's not...
Protect queen
rook
e5.
g2, but then queen e5 and it's mate on g7.
It's black king getting mated.
Yes. It's over, my god.
Wow, you can't fight against queen g7.
And you see the resignation there.
Yeah.
And Praggnanandhaa gets a win, but he's looking over at Nodirbek against Grischuk. He needs Nodirbek
Grischuk
to
can
win.
take a... I mean, Nodirbek can take a draw. Will he, with a pawn, 2 pawns down, will he take the draw? That's an open question.
I think he has taken the draw,
Yeah.
in fact.
Yeah,
'Cause
this
he has no
one has
choice.
just
Yes.
ended. So the knight just jumps around with the checks and comes back on f8. We've got...
But Pragg came close to death and then won.
Mm-hmm.
So...
So that means the difference between in
1
points is
point.
1 point. If Grischuk draws the next game, he's champion. A loss for Grischuk, a win for Pragg, we get playoffs.
That's right. The only scenario where there's a tie. Otherwise, Grischuk wins, and this game was decided as a draw because the king couldn't escape. So 1 game remaining between Vincent and Vidit. And as we tune in there, oh, it's opposite colored bishops, completely drawn endgame.
Yes. And MVL actually loses.
Oh, that's a shot. Actually, it's Hari who beat him.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, Hari plays Grischuk in the final game, and that means maybe there's a motivated Hari who can do his compatriot a favor.
So Pragg is really rooting for Hari in the next round. If Hari wins and Pragg wins, then we've got a playoff, and we...
But Grischuk is white as well.
Yes.
So-
Yes.
But that's the good thing about Blitz, and there we see a draw in this game. It was completely level. Is that I feel like people always play. It's a Blitz game.
Yes.
Like it's not going to take much time off of your life to play it out. Whereas sometimes, as we saw in rapid chess, some final games are quickly drawn. In fact, Grischuk and Hari had that repetition with the bishop going to f8 and so on.
So if, with Hari not having a clear shot at the podium, if Grischuk was to, which he wouldn't, but if he was to offer an early draw,
Say no.
Hari would would refuse it, right?
There's no reason to take it, right?
What is Vishy thinking?
I don't know.
But Hari,
I was thinking more that Grischuk could just play some system which he knows to be a draw. He doesn't need to ask for it.
Yeah.
He would just play
Force it.
something because he has the white pieces. If he gets the right kind of position, he might just be able to do that.
He
So-
starts with the white pieces, so exactly. So we might be seeing a shut off. But in Blitz, again, it's probably harder to completely close off a game.
Not always. I mean, if white does something very solid, black will hit this junction where black will either have to play some second best move
Yeah.
to keep the fight alive, but then you might be worse, or you go down the other direction. But let's see. Of course, Blitz is the best format to try for a win in the last round.
Yeah, you
Because
can
anything can happen anyway.
play
right?
some random opening with the eval bar, hates it, but it's not as easy to punish. And Grischuk, he's a glutton for time trouble, so with minimal time to start with, it's not easy to figure out the way forward.
And the most dangerous is a man who has nothing to lose. And for Hari, he can just go all out. He's got no pressure on, so a big round coming up.
Tanya, you know how you usually ask what do players do during the break? If I'm all of India right now, I go over to Hari and you do this, you get it done, so Pragg has a chance.
So you're saying all of India is not only rooting for Pragg right now, but also for Hari.
Well, they have to root for Hari even harder because if Hari does not win, then it doesn't matter what Pragg does in his game. So it's a big moment for Hari to step up. He's actually been very strong in the Blitz. It's been some wins, some losses, but the Rapid didn't go his way. He's been a different player in the Blitz tournament, and he is 8 out of 17.
And Pragg in the fight there, he's playing against Arjun, a player he's played so many times this last month, and someone he seems to be doing well against. He won his battle on day 1 yesterday.
Did he win both his games with Arjun in this
In
tournament?
Rapid as
In Rapid as well, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yes. So that's he's done quite well against
Yes.
Arjun here.
Well, I guess in the World Cup, it was very close, and it was
It was a
decided
3+2.
Yes.
as
a
well.
single game at the end.
5 decisive results to the end.
Yeah, and Arjun
Win, loss, win, loss, win.
Right, Arjun won the first game with black in classical, if I'm remembering
Yes,
correctly.
correct.
So he had that match in his hands, and Pragg he grabbed it right from him. And it's been interesting between those two because now Pragg is the celebrity, but Arjun was one Blitz game away from being the celebrity.
correct.
So it's very interesting to see that dynamic because in the chess world, they're pretty close
Correct.
in terms of their level of play. But in terms of the broader world, there's Praggnanandhaa, and then in many cases, it's like the other people don't exist.
That's probably too strong, but yes, I think even Gukesh's position on the rating list got eclipsed by Pragg's World Cup thing, and obviously Pragg is also playing the candidates.
Right.
So he's got something to look forward to next April, and that's a big thing.
I did love Pragg's answer, though, Tanya, when asked at the opening ceremony. He's like, I'm the only Indian since Vichy for now,
Yeah.
because other players have a legitimate shot to join him in
And I
the
think he's rooting
Gukesh.
for them because,
for sure.
his friends are in the fight, and Gukesh with the FIDE circuit and rating points as well has a big shot to make it.
It's really nice to see that because Gukesh, a top 10 player in the world right now, and really playing like it, right? He's not somebody who was number 2 and then dropped down slowly. He's on his way up, and I guess, it's, as you said, it's faster than you could have possibly expected to see him skyrocket.
Exactly. I mean, just last year they were breaching 2700, and I thought that was big, and then boom, 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 2730, and next thing and they did it in open tournaments.
Right.
It's not like they settled into the cozy top and thing. They played open tournaments with this sky high rating and defended it. So that shows you.
I don't know, what do you think? What are the chances of India having 2 candidates next year?
I think quite decent. I mean, all of them have a shot at the Grand Swiss, and I think Gukesh has a very decent shot in the FIDE circuit as well.
Yeah, there's the Grand Swiss as well.
Yes.
2 spots.
1 spot or 2?
I-
2 spots.
2.
Wow. Okay. For some reason, it used to be 1 when Wang Hao
Yeah.
Yes.
took it. So these things change in terms of numbers. But 2 spots up for grabs. And the good news, in a way, is that if some of those big names take part, who have already qualified, you don't have to. In fact, you root for them. Right? You're like, Fabi, you beat that other player. Just don't beat me. So it's always an interesting affair in the Isle of Man.
Right.
I think that players like even Vidit, right? He was so close to making the candidates from the World Cup.
Right.
He unfortunately has had a very bad day of Blitz today, but he's been in great form.
Recently,
Timur
yes.
was very complimentary of him. He beat Yanda Pomnashi in the World Cup, eliminated him. So Vidit's another player who, in a single tournament like that, of course he can finish in the top 2.
Yeah. There are a lot of pots and quite a few Indians in the race for the 2024 candidates. And right now, it's about the race to the top in this one. So I want to bring up our pairings as we're just minutes away from liftoff of the last round. 4 minutes to go. Let's take a look at the matchups. We've been talking about the different scenarios. And it is Alexander Grischuk. It's all in his hands. He starts with the white pieces, needs a draw to seal the deal. If Harikrishna can score the big win, it's not only great news for him, but for all the Indian fans, as then Pragg will have a shot, but he also needs to score the full point against Arjun.
Yeah, with black.
Yeah.
And just to really rub in the point, Alexander with white.
Yes.
But look, he's in range.
He's
and
in
it's Blitz.
range.
It's Blitz.
It's
So,
Blitz and anything can happen. Also playing against Arjun, a player who Pragg has a plus score against. Is that something that becomes a psychological factor when you play against each other and with a big margin?
For me, the 5 minutes they had between the 2 rounds, and you just can't play. I don't know if they have time to even think about all that. And it's the last round, which has its own rules. So, I mean, you can see the end of the tournament coming, and look, Pragg knows what he has to do. He'll try, and we'll see.
They said this about Gary, and first of all, it's great to see Gary back in action in the Fisher Random event. But they said some people, when they sat down to play Gary, the game was already over because he had that psychological control. And so I guess in certain matchups, when somebody does take a lead in the head-to-head, do you feel like that does play a part? I mean, in your own experience, were there players that maybe you started with a deficit against but were able to take them down later?
Yes, but that's more a classical phenomenon, maybe. I don't know if in Blitz, people who sat down opposite Gary felt it was equally hopeless. In Blitz, you have the odds are in favor of
Variance.
You have some chances anyway. I mean, maybe Arjun feels some pressure against Pragg because there's been a lot of defeats. Few wins as well in the World Cup, as we mentioned, but a lot of defeats. But maybe he just gets out there and plays his Jobaba, and then he's home. So,
And another recent
Bishop
example.
F4, Knight C3, H4. Very important. Don't forget H4, and then you're all there.
It's good
So-
anywhere. But another example of that is Hikaru versus Magnus, where Hikaru had such a minus score against Magnus, but then it turned around over the last few years, where Hikaru is sort of, I think he's not only probably just up there at the same level and winning in the faster time formats against Magnus in these long matches.
Yeah, I think by both players' own admission that Magnus is probably the favorite in their head-to-head, but they say that, and yet Hikaru continues to be right there neck and neck and beating him in last year's Speed Chess Championship, and Magnus has had nothing but praise for Hikaru. So it's good to see that rivalry extend at the top, and well, between Arjun and Pragg, that's a friendship / they're like frenemies. You know, they're really, really, really close friends, but over the chessboard they're going to be rivals
For many years to come.
years.
We're going to see this matchup for so many years from now, and it's true when we've got any of these youngsters playing against each other. They have all the potential and the ingredient to be in the world top 10 for the next couple of decades, and that is also going to be our big match. Wow, Grischuk, how does he sit like that?
I was wondering the same thing. It kind of hurts my back to look at, but I think he's just trying to map out the game at this stage. What do you think he's doing?
I mean, he's trying to focus back again, but I mean, it's about to start, so there we are. Yeah.
I'm so curious how Hari's going to play this. Because a forced draw is like so disappointing in a way, like for Hari too, because he wants to fight and we get a Catalan.
And chat, we'd love it for you to get involved. Tell us, what do you think are the chances that we will have a playoff between Alexander Grischuk and Praggnanandhaa? And it starts with
and a draw was agreed already. So that means Alexander Grischuk
But this
wins.
position is one where, if you want, you can just play Bishop D2, Bishop E4, Queen C1, Queen back. If white, I mean, this is not a position to play for a win with black. So in this opening, that's it. So congratulations to Alexander Grischuk.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive performance today, and I think the Blitz cheered him up after his Rapid.
Yeah.
Because the Rapid had some serious setbacks, but the Blitz was beautiful, and I know Alexander likes the Blitz most of all, so he must be especially happy.
He's a 3-time World Blitz champion, and he really deserved this tournament.
Correct.
The way he played throughout, he lost one game, was it? Throughout both days of Blitz, and he was incredibly solid. He lost a game today.
Yeah,
Today
he
he
was
lost a game.
undefeated yesterday.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
To lose just one game in 18 games of Blitz, that's a rarity.
Very deserving, and a 1 point lead going into the last round. Draws the game with Harikrishna, and he is the winner of the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz 23. Let's jump over to all the other games that are on, and I think the first one has to be Pragg versus Arjun. Nothing's been traded off there.
But we did get a bishop on f4 and now on h2.
Well, then what's the knight doing on D2? It's supposed to be on C3.
He chose this feels like I'm watching a classic game, maybe Gatakomsky style, trying
Yes.
to slowly maneuver and exactly B4.
Gatakomsky, yes.
But do you think right now for Pragg, he's a little disappointed after seeing the Hari Grischuk draw?
Maybe he's not even had time to look.
He hasn't had a look.
And maybe that's why he's got his hand over his. Sometimes chess players do it just to concentrate, but perhaps it would be so distracting to look at the other result that he just wants to focus on his game.
Because
the only thing
you're
under your control, right?
Yeah, you can't control what happens elsewhere, but right now he plays knight into d5, so the c3 square is vulnerable, but maybe putting a piece.
I mean, you'd
of
like
it
knight takes c3 and cd4 to work here, but it doesn't because you just move the queen away and that's it.
That
I mean,
would've
some
been
rook
fun.
c3, d3, but nah,
It
doesn't work.
shouldn't work in theory, but in practice you can get away with these things in Blitz, and he brings a rook.
Oh, this
down.
is nice. Yeah, because when the queen moves, he'll go queen a8 and then double the rooks on the c file. That way he gets all of them off the board.
So you just have to watch out. Don't allow an e4 at some moment, but the queen probably can also
Yes, so if let's say queen b2, I would go queen a8.
allow e4.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, then I have to go queen c7. That's a problem.
But even that looks pretty good for black. You just
Yes, rook
control the
c1, rook
only-
c8, and yes,
so the
I
only
can-
open
yeah.
file. So something's gone wrong perhaps for Arjun, who has yet to make a move after rook to c3. That's never a good sign. It was a pretty natural plan for black.
So queen b1. But then I'm not attacking anything, so I can go back to my queen a8. Yes.
So Arjun does just move queen a2. So he's being tricky because then there's queen b2 and you win a piece. But what a move that was.
And we've got a very special guest joining us. He is the winner of the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz. Firstly, congratulations. Sasha, please come and, and you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Fantastic performance, Sasha.
Who leaves?
I'm leading. I think
But
Tanya
I want
will.
to commentate with the legend.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Then there you go in.
Congratulations, Sasha.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? I mean, you just
Yeah,
won
very
a
good.
tough event.
Very good, yeah. It's like 4 years since I won something. Except some, Tuesdays and some this Saturday, Sunday, weekend, rapid. I won once.
And you entered the day down a half point, but then you went on a tear. Like, what got into you in the Blitz?
No, actually I lost in some round 5 or 4 to Arjun. And it was actually my only loss in the whole tournament. And but at the same round, Pragg also lost, so it still was anyone's tournament. But I'm surprised, yeah, because I think with 4 rounds to go, I was trailing, and then I somehow almost guaranteed before the last round. I mean, it very rarely happens.
Yeah, you won with a quick draw in the final game, and you said you wanted to commentate with the legend, so I'm not going to stop you. You know, let's go.
Okay. I really liked your thing with Pragg. E5, bishop g5, knight d8. And then after that, just this rook ending is over.
It's
So
just
that
over? I thought it's
course.
slightly better.
Maybe, but it felt like
Okay.
you have rook f8, you can play rook 8 and slowly
But
create
it
a
was very
pawn,
nice,
just very technical.
We can pull up, and we can do anything you want. So you.
So who is fighting for what? I mean, I prefer to comment on games that are important.
Hey, good commentator right here. Yeah, no, these games are. Pragg was behind you. You're the only player who had a chance if you had lost the game. But here,
So he is half a point ahead of MVL and Abdusattoro, yeah?
Yes.
that's right.
But
Okay,
Pragg's
so-
position is, if anything, looking worse. I mean,
Pragg.
b5, bishop c7.
Okay, Pragg.
He's not trying for a win.
Yeah.
Not really.
So, okay, so I could lose this game.
Would you like to go back and try?
Yeah, this one looks locked up. Which other games look?
No,
more
but have you seen in which position Nodirbek refused the draw against me? Just we get into endgame, I'm just solid pawn up. Okay, he has compensation in form of good drawing chances, but nothing else, and he just refuses.
And then he made the draw.
Yeah, like I will show you.
Yeah.
Just when we exchange the queens, when I played queen take e5,
Yeah.
I also have slightly more time, and he just refuses here. No, I mean, it's great that those all youngsters, they have amazing fighting spirit. I mean, I remember when I was young, okay, we used to be afraid of Gary, of you, of maybe Vladimir, but they're not afraid of anyone. Maybe they're slightly afraid of Magnus.
But even Nodirbek, I don't know if he's afraid of Magnus because he took him down on his path to that World Rapid Championship, and
Pragg as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but since then I think Magnus beat him several times.
as that's what Magnus said, revenge isn't one win; it's continue
Yes,
that
yes,
winning
yes.
streak. So let's head back
It's
into
a dish best served cold.
yeah,
Is
and
that
then
it?
over and over and over. It's a buffet. So let's go to
All you can
maybe
eat buffet.
we're
yeah.
talking about Nodirbek. So why don't we look at his game because he can maybe catch up to second place, and Vidit has had a very tough day, but at least he's giving us entertaining chess.
Yeah, and I think it.
He only beat Pragg. It turned out as in.
Amazing.
So it's been a very tough day for him. Half out of 6, and then
Then he beat
he
Pragg.
beat Pragg. Yeah.
So that helped you.
Yeah,
So-
very much.
What's happening in this game? This is
Okay, still
Well,
anything might
should be a big
happen.
advantage. Except bishop a4 happened.
Maybe not anymore. But
so,
why it's
But
rook
anyway,
c1? Yeah.
96. So.
Ah,
Oh.
96.
so bishop d1, knight takes e8, and
And then come back. And
so what's the material count? Black just stole a pawn, but somehow
Yeah, I think it's much easier to play for white
Yes.
on seconds.
knight d6.
also this queen is very close to getting trapped over here at some point.
And knight
but-
f5 just to really smother that queen. Yeah, knight f5. And
s-
if cd4, bishop c7, knight
G7,
g4.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
he goes.
No, but then rook d6.
Yeah,
oh, bishop
he missed-
g4. Oh, queen
And
d5.
queen
What did he
d5.
do?
He just missed the d5 square, I think.
Sheesh. Knight f5 was resigned. It's just bishop c7 g4.
No, but the evaluation was slightly better for white. With this, I'm very smart when I.
No, so am I. But what is happening after?
No,
What did he
I
just
don't know.
miss this?
yeah,
Wow.
he completely. And now he's desperate, right? So knight d3 at some point.
Okay, it's over. Knight d3,
It's not even a rook d8 check because the bishop
queen
covers.
d2, and then queen f3.
But I think he was struggling on seconds the whole tournament.
Vidit.
Yeah, we did.
But day one was very
And
successful.
now b takes c5. No, sorry, bishop b5, and then it's just over.
Yeah, so this is going to be a win for Nodirbek that will land him up the standings. And it looks like.
H5, knight h4. Okay, he's even
Oh.
collecting the pawn. Yeah.
But Vincent beat Gukesh, and what's happening in the Pragg game?
Wait.
still-
Okay, I
What
thought
happened?
that
Wait, how
there was
did-
a pawn on b6. That's why I got.
Oh, that's something I have to ask you. Speaking of past B pawns, in your game against Gukesh, suddenly his pawn appeared on B7 and the rapid.
Yes.
That was one of the most surprising
Yes,
things
yes.
because Vichy was here, and he's like, "There's a black," and Nodirbek wins. So congratulations to him. He finishes very nicely, and it looks like Pragg drew. So our final standings are you in first by a full point over Nodirbek and Praggnanandhaa, and Arjun is in clear fourth with 10.5. But yeah, that game where you had a pawn on B7.
Yeah, it was one of the most stupid series of moves of this tournament and of my career because he plays A6, he plays A B7, and in the meantime I do nothing. I just jump with my queen completely senselessly.
It was fun for us, but yeah.
No, but I see my pawn on B7, and then a few moves later he has. I mean, I have nice position, but his pawn is on B7. Yeah, it was a miracle that I didn't lose this game.
Well, you didn't lose until today in the Blitz. You finished with a huge score, and you end up a point ahead of the competition. So, coming to India here, you said you haven't been in a long time. I think maybe India is growing on your list of countries with this tournament win.
I mean, India is growing as a country. It has nothing to do with my win. Yeah, it's just.
But chess players, they have an attachment to cities and places where they do well.
Okay, but I was in a different city, but I also did extremely well. For last time I was in India. I mean,
He was in the semi-finals of the World
Yeah.
Championship
Right,
in
right.
Delhi. So
yeah, and I was nobody at the time. It was huge upset that I went so far. Yeah, so I guess I'm doing well in India.
And you said it's growing, and of course the chess is growing here thanks to Vichy and these teenagers. Like, what do you make of all of their successes?
Okay, I think first of all there are so many people in India. Yeah, I think already someone said it. Yeah, if you have 1.5 billion people and you put some effort into some kind of sport, you will have 1,000 talents. Then you will have 100 real talents. Then you will have 10 stars, and you will have maybe a couple of superstars. So it's just very logical to me. And also I think India, especially nowadays, that chess becoming more and more computerish, and India is maybe the best country in IT worldwide. Yeah, so it's not a surprise for me at all. I would say Uzbekistan is a bit more surprising, yeah, because they have less people, they're not as much into computer stuff, yeah. But with India, I think it was just a matter of time.
And Vichy is of course a legend here in his home country. Do you want to see him back across the board next year?
But I will see him
Yeah,
back
next
in
week.
10
in
days.
10 days exactly. We're playing together in Amsterdam. So.
He was actually guessing every move
yeah,
of yours
yeah.
today.
Every single one. You have
Not in the last round, but before that.
And it's Arjun as well.
Which opening was this?
This London, Jabava London with GC.
Yeah, no. At some point, we were wondering why you didn't take on you couldn't take on e5, but you could maybe go queen b6.
Oh,
Then you went knight b6.
But knight
and,
b6, I also think
but
I felt
I was
completely
convinced
fine.
that you were still
Yeah,
in
but
prep,
I
but,
just
you-
it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe in prep, but I forgot it. But I think the endgame is completely fine for me. No.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, here you're
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, so but I just spent too much time get into this period because I could not find a reasonable move instead of knight b6.
Can we bring up
So,
the
yeah.
analysis
Maybe
board,
even
please?
instead of a6 b5, if you just play f6 right away, it might just be
Instead of
yeah.
b5, f6 also.
Yeah.
Of course. No, I just played poorly this game. No, but I really wanted to avoid losses, so then my only loss in the whole event would be against Radjabov. So it would be a very it's already a very memorable game.
But you said
Yes, that's true.
you wanted to avoid losses, but was that like an active?
No.
You just-
I mean, not to play carefully. No, you saw I played extremely aggressively, at least with white. Yeah, and with black against those guys, you don't need to play aggressively because they will play aggressively. So there is no danger of some queen e4, queen d4 in Berlin or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So in general, do you like playing against the teenagers, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I like. But I'm waiting because all of them, I think, are slightly older than my oldest daughter. I'm waiting for some very strong guy who will be younger than my daughter.
And well, I guess that's probably will happen any moment now, right? Just so many talents are up and coming.
I think already Pranav must be younger than her. Yeah.
And so you're playing each other coming up in 10 days. What can we expect for you after that Lebatov chess event?
You mean after what?
Yeah.
Which plans?
Yeah,
do
you're
I
playing.
have? I mean, if I get visa, I will play Isle of Man, and also I will play Russian Rapid and Blitz championships, both individual and team, because we are getting some incredible team. We got some incredible sponsor, and I don't know, he invited everyone. So we will have Dubov, Andreikin, me, and Matlakov in a event which is supposed to be just for fun. I think we will be hated by everyone, like WR was hated in Düsseldorf. And I think we will be hated even more. Yeah.
Well, Alexander, I know the closing ceremony is happening soon. Any kind of final words for the audience before we let you go? And you're going to get a trophy, so that's going to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very thankful for organizers. First of all, that they invited me for some reason, and and the whole event I think was organized perfectly. And also, it was incredible that actually when I was going to smoke, I was having some kind of bodyguards with me to prevent spectators from coming to me every second. So I mean, I still was usually giving 1 or 2 autographs between each rounds, but if it would be not for those bodyguards, as I call them, it would be like 50 each round. I mean, it's amazing interest for chess.
Yeah, how does that feel? Because, like, let's say 20 years ago, you probably don't see the level of interest. The viewership online, of course, helps. But how does that feel to not just play, but win an event in front of so many really excited chess fans?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not a very big deal for me. I mean, I would not lie. I mean, it would be nice if it would be, but I don't want to lie. But of course, it's nice. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's definitely nice being in first place. So congratulations once again, and enjoy the closing ceremony, which is going to happen in a moment. I think you're needed for that. So
I guess.
Thank you so much, and that's it from the studio here. But stay tuned because we will have the closing ceremony very shortly. The winner is Alexander Grischuk, but we got to go. We got to get set for that. So see you next time, everybody. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. So it's the end.
lips.